Good evening, everybody. How are you all? Welcome to the fourth class of salaries. This is fourth out of sixth class. So that means you are already halfway through the chapter, halfway through the head of income. Okay, so I hope you must be feeling good now. All the people who were scared of tax are at least not scared anymore. You are understanding, even if not completely, but you are at least, getting friends with the subject, right? So I hope I could do at least that bit for you. Today we are in the fourth class and we didn't have any homework for the last class. It was only about revising the old concepts. Okay, that salary is due on chargeable on due or receipt basis, whichever is earlier. There is a must factor about employer-employee relationship. That master-servant relationship or that control relationship is very important for anything to be chargeable under the head salary. So if you receive a mobile phone from your colleague on your birthday, then both of you are working in the same organization, but he is not your employer. If the relationship is friendship, it's not employer-employee relationship, then anything you're receiving from generally, the receipt is very tangible. You get it in your bank account, so you understand that receipt has happened. But when it comes to accrual, it is an intangible concept. So we need some rules to find out. The law has said that wherever the service is provided, that is the place where salary accrues. And in case of salary, it is easy because it is linked to the physical presence of the salaried individual. Okay. But in certain cases, they have given exception. Like if Government of India sends Indian citizen to work outside India, then even if the services are rendered outside India, the salary is deemed to accrue or arise in India. Over there are exceptions to allowances and perquisites under Section 10 Clause 7 that those will not be taxable. We did those concepts, we did allowances, different types of allowances, some which are partly taxable, some which are fully taxable, some taxable under one regime, some not taxable under both regimes. Okay. Then in the last class, last class, we did terminal benefits, GPLRV, we did gratuity, pension, leave encashment, retrenchment compensation, VRS. We tried to find out, when things are different for government employee, when for non-government employee, how to calculate the exemption limit, what is the meaning of salary for different purposes. There were different rules to calculate exemptions, and the fact that terminal benefits exemptions were available under both regimes. We saw all that. Then in the last class, we delved into perquisites. So we were doing that, perquisites can be cash as well as non-cash. Okay, it can be a facility provided by the employer to you. It can be a cash reimbursement of an obligation which you had to otherwise incur. Okay, both can be perquisites. And there are three classes of perquisites: one which are taxable for everybody, one which is tax-free for everybody, and one which is taxable only for specified employees. There were 5 such cases which we have to remember the list of all the perquisites which are taxable, fully taxable, or all the perquisites which are fully tax exempt? No, you need to just know the tax treatment of the specific item when asked. But ma'am, do we need to know the list of taxable for specified employees? Yes, because otherwise how will you remember whether this has a separate treatment for specified employee, whether you should see specified employee also or not? Okay, so that was a comprehensive list of only 5 items. It is also easy to remember. And I don't forget my promises. I do remember that in the last class I told you that I will give you an acronym, a small term to help you remember that those 5 items. Okay, so to just quickly recall those 5 items which were taxable only for specified employees like director employee or significant shareholder employee holding more than 20% shares in that employer company, okay, and whose taxable salary is more than 50,000. So if any of the conditions are satisfied, the person becomes specified employee. And for those specified employees, the 5 items which are taxable as perquisites. For all others, it is not taxable. So what are those 5 items? Number 1 was domestic servant, provision of servant. We did that. There is a difference between employer providing a servant to the employee and employer reimbursing the salary cost of domestic servant to employee. Okay, both are perquisites, but one is meeting a cash obligation and one is providing the facility itself. And why it is important is because if it is meeting a tax obligation, meeting a cash obligation, it is taxable perquisite. But if it is providing a facility, then in this specific case, it is going to be taxable only for specified employees and not in the case of others. Okay, so we did that. The first point was domestic servant. Okay. Similarly, any personal attendant, sweeper, gardener, watchman, basically any help that either the company, that the employer is providing directly to you. They are sending Mr. X to your place. They don't want you to recruit Mr. X. They have hired him, they will pay him, and you just enjoy the facility. Okay. Second, if the employer gives you gas, electricity, water, that means utilities. Okay, so gas, electricity, water. Let's just call it electricity, E. And the first one, let's just call it servant or sweeper, S. Okay. Then if the employer gives you tickets, but the employer must be a transport company to do that. And we did in the list of tax-free perquisites that if the employer is an airline or a railway company and giving you tickets, then that is tax-free. But for any other transport company giving you free or concessional transport tickets, then that is taxable only for specified employees. So let's put it as T. Then we did use of motor car. So if the employer gives you a car, okay, employer doesn't give a car to every employee. So anyway, you will understand that you have to be a specifically elite employee to get a car. And that is this specified employees list, mostly covers that kind of employee also. Okay, so let's take it as me, M, motor car. Okay, and then the last point was educational facility. If the employer provides free or educational facility, okay, if he runs a school of his own, then how will you determine the value of perquisite? It will be the cost which you would have had to pay to a similar institution for a similar education in a nearby locality. Okay, because otherwise you cannot find the market value, right? So you stay in an area. In that area, the employer has a school and other XYZ also has a school. So the fees that would be charged by XYZ for your child who is studying in a, say, class 2, okay, and that will be the cost, that will be the value of perquisite, because your employer who runs a school of his own is not charging any fees from you. Okay, so that is if the school is owned by employer. But if the school is not owned by employer, then that means he's also paying to somebody. And he's paying to a school, and then he's allowing your child to go to the school, but he's paying to the school. So the cost to the employer would be the value of the perquisite. Okay, it is exempt if the fees is up to 1,000 per month, but you can understand that generally fees is not so less, especially for people who are in the specified employee category. They will, for them, their children's fees will be more than this only. So that's just a limit theoretical. It is not going to practically apply for you. Okay. So educational facility or E is another point. All right. So these 5 points are actually the specified employee taxable points. Priyanka, if you're raising a hand, you can please put it in the chat box. Okay. We are not unmuting students. Okay. All right. So the acronym to remember these 5 points is set me. Set me. It's just a small word to help you remember that sweeper, electricity, ticket, motor car, education. Sweeper or servant, electricity, ticket, motor car, education. These 5 points fall in category C, which is taxable perquisites only for specified employees. So in the question, if you see this kind of item, you will first see whether the person is specified employee or not. Generally, they will tell you. Suppose they don't tell you, then you try to evaluate based on the other based on the meaning of specified employee. If you find that the salary excluding non-monetary perquisite is more than 50,000, you will automatically understand he is a specified employee. So in the notes, you will provide that based on his salary structure, it is understood he is a specified employee. Therefore, this perquisite is taxable in his hands. Understood? Okay. So that was a quick revision of part C. Okay. Yes. Okay. Chalo, take it. I had given you 2 cheat sheets in the last class. Didn't give you any homework, but gave you 2 cheat sheets to summarize, in a summarized manner, so that it can help you recall things better. You can take a print of this slide, which is cheat sheet meaning of salary. You can also take a print of this other slide, which is cheat sheet optional versus default regime. Okay, both these slides you can take a print and keep for your record. It will help you remember things better. Let's first do the first one. Meaning of salary, that in case of gratuity covered by POGA, we said that the meaning is aligned to the Payment of Gratuity Act, that is basic plus DA. But in every other case, that is gratuity not covered by POGA or leave salary or HRA or RPF or VRS, the salary was my life, my rules. That means income tax is defined in their own way. And this DA forming part, commission as fixed percentage of turnover, these are terms coined by income tax only. Nobody else sees them so differently. So my life, my rules, for all these definitions, income tax has applied its own definition, which is basic plus DA forming part plus commission based on fixed percentage of turnover. So ma'am, what if commission is 10,000 rupees per month? It's a fixed amount. Then we will not take it because we will only take the commission which is based as a percentage of turnover. It is that way included in your CPC. Okay. Now for RFA and concessional accommodation, what is the meaning of salary? It is different. It is actually everything. All the pay, allowances, bonus, commission, monetary payments, DA forming part, not forming part, commission, fixed percentage of turnover, whatever, everything is included. But it does not include DA not forming part. Again, income tax says my life, my rules. DA not forming part is not included. Employer's contribution to RPF, to any kind of PF is not included. Exempt allowances should anyway not form a part. Exempt allowances anyway don't enter the structure of taxable, don't enter the computation. They don't form part of gross salary also. So they will anyway not form a part of meaning of salary. And perquisites that we have been discussing, okay, medical insurance premium, terminal lump sum benefits like those retirement benefits, these exceptional items like DA forming part, DA not forming part, or contribution to PF or terminal benefits or perquisites or medical insurance premium, these are not to be included in the definition of salary when you do RFA. But other than that, generally all the cash components, pay, allowances, bonus, commission. So commission fixed, you can write in the beside commission, fixed also included. Because otherwise, though, it should have been a fixed, percentage of turnover. Here, fixed is also included, and percentage of turnover is also included. Okay, and but for as far as DA is concerned, it still is adamant that DA not forming part will not be included. Okay, so this is how quickly, very it was seeming like, oh my God, every section has a different meaning of salary. But when you look at it in this way, in a composed form, in a structured form, you will understand that, oh, there are only 3 definitions and it's so easy to remember. If it is POGA, then it is, the definition comes from POGA. If it is non-POGA or anything, any other terminal benefit or RPF you have not done, you will do later. But understand that even if that is there, these all have same definition. And RFA has a different definition. It has almost all the cash components and even commission, which is not based as fixed percentage of turnover, but does not include non-monetary benefits like perquisites or contributions to RPF or even DA not forming part or exempt allowances or terminal benefits. Okay, so these are the meanings of salary for different purposes in the salary chapter. All right, you will notice that ma'am, retrenchment compensation तो इसमें है ही नहीं. इस लिस्ट में retrenchment compensation तो है ही नहीं. इस लिस्ट में पेंशन भी नहीं है. Can somebody tell me, अगर इस लिस्ट में नहीं है तो फिर कैसे पता करोगे? What is the meaning of salary for those purposes? नहीं, टर्मिनल बेनिफिट्स को ब्रेक करके दिया है ना मैंने. ग्रेजुएटी, लीव सैलरी, VRS, ये 3 को दिया है. बट हमारा GPLRB में P और R को तो हम लोग भूल गए. Pension and retrenchment compensation are not in the list. So how will you? What is the meaning of salary for those purposes? हाँ, मेरा भी वही क्वेश्चन था. देखो, मैंने आपके मन की बात पढ़ ली. बोलो, पेंशन में सैलरी क्या होता है? अपनी मेमोरी से बोलो. जब आप पेंशन कैलकुलेशन करते हैं, अगर वो अनकम्यूटेड पेंशन हो तो आप क्या करेंगे? What is the treatment of uncommuted pension? That means that which you will get in equal annual installments later after retirement. What will you do with that? फुल्ली टैक्सेबल. ठीक है, फुल्ली टैक्सेबल है तो आपको सैलरी के मीनिंग से कोई मतलब ही नहीं है उसमें. अच्छा, अगर आप कम्यूटेड पेंशन देखते हैं, कम्यूटेड पेंशन, गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय हो तो फुल्ली एग्जेम्प्ट, नॉन गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय हो तो आपको देखना है if the person is also receiving gratuity or not receiving gratuity. If also receiving gratuity, then you give a little less exemption, you give 1/3. If not receiving gratuity, you give a little more exemption, which is 1/2. But of what? You give off commuted pension received divided by commuted percentage, है ना? Do you even use average monthly salary in calculation of pension exemption? Exactly, अनुभव. आपको सैलरी चाहिए ही नहीं पेंशन के कैलकुलेशन में, इसलिए डिफाइन नहीं किया है. यस. सिमिलरली टेल मी रिट्रेंचमेंट कॉम्पनसेशन में सैलरी नहीं चाहिए, वेजेस है उसमें. जनरली इंडस्ट्रियल अंडरटेकिंग्स में, इंडस्ट्रियल डिस्प्यूट्स एक्ट या किसी में, वर्कर्स आर लेड ऑफ एंड वेजेस को अलग से डिफाइन किया है कि भाई इफ इट इज अ डेली पेड वर्कर तो कैसे लेना है, वीकली पेड वर्कर तो कैसे लेना है, मंथली पेड वर्कर तो कैसे लेना है ना? हाँ, तो उसमें भी वेजेस डिफाइंड है, उसमें भी सैलरी रेलेवेंट ही नहीं है. जो रेलेवेंट ही नहीं है वो क्यों डिफाइन करेंगे, है ना? So you can also write in this cheat sheet does not include any reference of pension or retrenchment compensation because meaning of salary is not relevant for them. Okay? Chalo. Meaning of salary not relevant for retrenchment compensation and pension calculation. Okay. So now you feel better? अभी नहीं लग रहा है ना कि कंफ्यूज हो जाएंगे, एग्जाम में जाएंगे कैसे? क्लब एक्सपेंडिचर इज अ परक्विजिट पॉइंट ना, जब हम लोग करेंगे तब वी विल डू. लेट्स डू द नेक्स्ट चीट शीट. नेक्स्ट चीट शीट वाज कि मैम कितना डिफरेंस है हर अलाउंस का, कुछ और ही ट्रीटमेंट है. कोई एक रेजिम में टैक्सेबल होता है, कोई एक रेजिम में टैक्सेबल होता है, कोई कहीं एग्जाम, कोई कहीं एग्जाम्ड. कैसे इतना याद रखेंगे? So a few years earlier, you wouldn't have had this problem. When I was appearing for my exams, I didn't have this problem because एक ही regime था, जो optional regime. ये तो आप लोगों के लिए नया problem आया है default regime, है ना? So अगर दो regime है तो दो confusion, एक में कुछ एक में कुछ, तो किस में क्या करना है? हमने पढ़ा था ये सब था ही नहीं, सिर्फ एक ही regime थी, तो ये रिको बनाना ही नहीं पड़ता था. ये बैंक रिकंसिलिएशन स्टेटमेंट जैसा जो आप देख रहे हैं वो बनाना ही नहीं पड़ता था पहले. So ओके, पर अब है तो अब क्या करें? लेट्स एम्ब्रेस इट, लेट्स डू इट. लेट्स आई हैव आल्सो गिवन यू एन एक्रोनिम टू हेल्प यू रिमेंबर इट बेटर. This acronym will suggest the items which have a differential treatment under the two regimes. Okay, which means all other items in salary head have same treatment under both the regimes. Okay, तो आपको सिर्फ इन आइटम्स को स्पेसिफिकली ध्यान रखना है जब आप दो रेजिम्स में अलग अलग कैलकुलेशन कर रहे हैं. इसीलिए इसका एक्रोनिम आप याद कर लो, इन आइटम्स को याद कर लो. दे हैव अ डिफरेंट ट्रीटमेंट अंडर द टू रेजिम्स. ऑल द अदर components of salary have common treatment under the two regimes, so you don't have to remember them separately. Okay, let's start from default regime. Okay, कभी सब में ऐसा भी आ गया ना कि आपको क्वेश्चन नंबर ए कैलकुलेट सैलरी अंडर डिफॉल्ट रेजिम, आपने निकाल लिया. क्वेश्चन नंबर बी, व्हाट इफ द पर्सन हैड ऑप्टेड आउट ऑफ डिफॉल्ट रेजिम, तब आप बोलोगे अरे यार फिर से करेगा पूरा, है ना? So how will you save time? This is a very good way of saving time, and it is such a beautiful presentation also. It will help you remember easily. It will help you save time if you have to do the sum under both regimes in exam. Okay, so you will start with default regime. कि ये सैलरी हमने निकाल ली है. अगर आपको क्वेश्चन में पूछे जस्ट वन रेजिम ऑप्शनल निकालो, तो आप डिफॉल्ट निकाल के फिर ये सब करके ऑप्शनल तक नहीं आएंगे. तब आप नाक को ऐसे पकड़ेंगे, ऐसे करके नहीं पकड़ेंगे, है ना? अगर आपको सिर्फ ऑप्शनल रेजिम ही करने बोला गया, then you will not take this route. You will directly do optional. But if you are asked to do both regimes, then you calculate under one, then and do BRS adjustments and reach the other. Okay? But this is the idea of this statement. चलो. So क्या डिफरेंस है? So default regime में एक ही चीज ऐड हो रही है और बाकी तो सब लेस हो रहे हैं. I told you in the earlier classes that default regime will always give you a higher taxable salary than optional regime, because उसका तो मतलब ही यही था. When it came, the default regime का logic ही यही है कि we will not give so many tax exemptions and reductions. Okay, तो इसीलिए उसका टैक्सेबल सैलरी का स्लैब base will मतलब should be even in principle and essence it should be higher than the optional regime. So maximum items default regime में आप less करेंगे to arrive at optional regime because this value is small and this value is big. Default regime taxable base should be logically also higher than optional regime because it was brought to do away with tax exemptions. Okay. All right. तो अगर आपको बड़े से छोटे में जाना है तो आपको चीजें लेस करनी पड़ेंगी ना, इसलिए मैक्सिमम आइटम्स तो लेस ही होने वाले हैं. बट बस एक आइटम है इकलौता, वो भी लास्ट बजट मतलब लास्ट रिसेंट अमेंडमेंट है, इकलौता एक आइटम है जो ऐड होता है. मैंने जब लास्ट क्लास कराया था ये भी नहीं था, ये अब अमेंडमेंट से ये एक आ गया है. एक लौता आइटम ऐड होता है, वो है डिडक्शन अंडर सेक्शन 16, क्योंकि स्टैंडर्ड डिडक्शन इज द ओनली आइटम which you get more under default regime, that is 75,000, and less under optional regime, which is 50,000. Okay, तो आपको 75 minus 50, assuming कि amount of salary is more than these limits and therefore you are getting the full deduction, otherwise limited to the amount of deduction actually taken. ये 25 एक ऐड होगा, 75 minus 50, because 75 standard deduction you are getting under default regime and 50 you are getting under optional regime. So you will just, this one thing you will have to add, because in this respect default regime was better than optional regime. All the other items you will have to reduce, because for all the other items optional regime is better than default regime. Then ma'am, why will we even go for optional? Why will we even go for default? Because tax rate may be higher, may be lower in default, and overall you may taxable salary ज्यादा, लेकिन tax फिर भी कम हो सकता है under default regime, क्योंकि tax rates कम है उस regime में. ठीक है. ओके, तो टैक्स कैसे निकालेंगे मैम? अभी नहीं निकालना है, अभी आप पहले टैक्सेबल इनकम निकालने पे फोकस करो. जब आप सारे हेड्स ऑफ इनकम पढ़ लेंगे और पूरा कंप्यूटेशन निकालेंगे, तब टोटल इनकम के ऊपर आप टैक्स रेट लगाना, बाद में सीखना. अभी ओनली फोकस ऑन कैलकुलेट द टैक्सेबल इनकम फ्रॉम सैलरी. ओके, चलो ठीक है. व्हाट आर द आइटम्स यू विल रिड्यूस? वन इज एचआरए. एचआरए में ना ट्रीटमेंट है, मतलब एचआरए का एग्जेम्पशन सिर्फ ऑप्शनल रेजिम में मिलता है और डिफॉल्ट रेजिम में नहीं मिलता है, राइट? और हम लोग कैसे कैलकुलेट करते हैं? एचआरए अमाउंट ऑफ एग्जेम्पशन इज लीस्ट ऑफ द फॉलोइंग, लोअर ऑफ द फॉलोइंग. कहीं पे भी एग्जेम्पशन विल बी, अगर 3 लिमिट है 4 लिमिट है, इट विल ऑलवेज बी लोअर ऑफ द फॉलोइंग. कोई नहीं बोलेगा हायर ऑफ द फॉलोइंग पे ले लो एग्जेम्पशन, ठीक है ना? लोअर ऑफ द फॉलोइंग ही होगा. One amount was HRA received, one amount was rent paid minus 10% of salary, and one amount was 40 or 50% of salary depending on the places in a metro city like Kolkata, Mumbai, Delhi or Chennai, या फिर any other city. Okay, and what is the meaning of salary? तो HRA का मीनिंग इज ऑल्सो बेसिक प्लस DA फॉर्मिंग पार्ट प्लस कमीशन बेस्ड ऑन फिक्स परसेंटेज ऑफ टर्नओवर. ठीक है, तो ये था HRA का एग्जेम्पशन. ये एग्जेम्पशन इज ओनली अवेलेबल अंडर optional regime. It's not available under default regime. So you will reduce it. Second item was children education allowance. You must be remembering up to 100 per month per child. Children education allowance मिलता था subject to maximum of 2 children. Children hostel allowance up to 300 per month per child up to maximum of 2 children. ये जो दो exemptions मिलते थे, जो एक allowances का इतना लंबा लिस्ट था, partially exempt, उसमें हम लोग बोले भाई कितना ऐसे याद करेंगे, ट्राइबल एरिया अलाउंस एंड हाई ऑल्टीट्यूड अलाउंस एंड ये सब, हाउ विल वी रिमेंबर? So I told you कि इतना you can't remember, we understand, at least remember these two, है ना? तो ये दो में these are also items which you will reduce. ये available होता है under optional regime but not available under default regime. उसके बाद होता है perquisite of free food and non-alcoholic beverages. Last class में आपको पढ़ाया था कि अगर food और non-alcoholic beverages during working hours में मिलते हैं तब तो फिर ठीक ही है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. लेकिन अदरवाइज भी अगर मील मिलता है, फूड मिलता है, तो अप टू 50 रुपीज पर मील इज नॉट टैक्सेबल. बट इट इज नॉट टैक्सेबल ओनली अंडर ऑप्शनल रेजिम, इट इज टैक्सेबल अंडर डिफॉल्ट रेजिम. तो ये भी आपको लेस करना पड़ेगा यहाँ पे. और फिर लीव ट्रैवल कंसेशन, ये क्या होता है? ये तो हमने अभी तक पढ़ा नहीं है, यू विल स्टडी इन दिस क्लास. ठीक है, तो लीव ट्रैवल कंसेशन भी एक आइटम है जो आपको ऑप्शनल रेजिम में मिलती है, डिफॉल्ट रेजिम में नहीं मिलता है, तो वो आप लेस कर देंगे. उसके अलावा देयर आर टू अदर डिडक्शंस ऑफ सेक्शन 16. वन इज एंटरटेनमेंट अलाउंस, जो पहले तो सिर्फ गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉइज को मिलता है, बट एटलीस्ट गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉइज को, हियर वी आर नॉट कंपेयरिंग गवर्नमेंट वर्सेस नॉन गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉइज, हियर वी आर कंपेयरिंग ऑप्शनल वर्सेस डिफॉल्ट रेजिम. तो गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय को मिलता है वो बात ठीक है, लेकिन मिलता सिर्फ ऑप्शनल रेजिम में है, डिफॉल्ट में नहीं मिलता, इसलिए इसको भी यहाँ पे लेस कर देंगे। और कितना मिलता है वो भी लोअर ऑफ द फॉलोइंग है, 5,000, 1/5 ऑफ बेसिक एंड अमाउंट ऑफ एंटरटेनमेंट अलाउंस एक्चुअली रिसीव्ड, है ना, उसका लोअर ऑफ द फॉलोइंग एग्जेम्पशन मिलता है, मतलब डिडक्शन मिलता है, उसको एग्जेम्पशन नहीं बोलते हैं। देखो एग्जेम्पशन और डिडक्शन में क्या फर्क है, अगर कुछ एग्जेम्प्ट होता है ना वो कंप्यूटेशन के एम्बिट में घुसता ही नहीं है, वो नोट्स में निकल जाता है, यू अंडरस्टैंड, आउटर कॉलम में वो जाता ही नहीं है। जब आप कंप्यूटेशन कर रहे हैं और कोई चीज एग्जेम्प्ट है तो वो आउटर कॉलम तक पहुंचता ही नहीं है, वो पहले ही बाय वे ऑफ नोट्स वो निकल जाता है कि वी आर नॉट इंक्लूडिंग इट इन द फर्स्ट प्लेस, दैट मींस एग्जेम्प्ट आइटम्स आर नॉट फॉर्मिंग पार्ट ऑफ ग्रॉस सैलरी, ओके। बट डिडक्शन में क्या होता है, ग्रॉस सैलरी में इंक्लूडेड है, नीचे आके लेस करते हैं, अगर ग्रॉस सैलरी 0 हो तो फिर कोई डिडक्शन नहीं मिलेगा, यू अंडरस्टैंड, सो ग्रॉस सैलरी देन लेस डिडक्शन, ऑलराइट, देन यू गेट नेट सैलरी, सो इसलिए उसको डिडक्शन बोलते हैं, इट इज नॉट द सेम एज एग्जेम्पशन, ऑलराइट, ओके। फिर प्रोफेशनल टैक्स, प्रोफेशनल टैक्स के लिए हमने क्या बोला था, एम्प्लॉयर पे करे या एम्प्लॉय पे करे, डिफरेंस ये होगा कि अगर एम्प्लॉयर पे करे तो वो परक्विजिट बन के ऊपर भी ऐड होगा, और अगर एम्प्लॉय खुद ही पे करे तब वो ऊपर नहीं ऐड होगा, बट डिडक्शन कोई भी पे करे वो मिलेगा, और पेमेंट बेसिस पे ही मिलेगा, एक ही साल में 4 सालों का पी टैक्स भी अगर आप पे कर देते हैं तो उसी साल में मिलेगा जिस साल में आपने पे किया है, क्योंकि ये पेमेंट बेसिस का डिडक्शन है, ठीक है ना। तो प्रोफेशनल टैक्स भी जो होता है ना अप टू 2,500 पर मंथ पर एनम, वो सिर्फ ऑप्शनल रेजिम में मिलता है, डिफॉल्ट रेजिम में नहीं मिलता है, तो वो भी आप लेस करेंगे। तो हाउ मेनी आइटम्स हैव यू एडजस्टेड, नंबर 1 स्टैंडर्ड डिडक्शन यू एडजस्टेड, ओके, नंबर 2 एचआरए reduced, 3 children education allowance reduced, 4 children hostel allowance reduced, 5 free food and non-alcoholic beverages up to 50 rupees per meal reduced, then leave travel concession reduced, which you will study in this class, then entertainment allowance reduced, then professional tax reduction reduced. You made all these adjustments to default regime wala income to derive the optional regime wala salary income, okay. How do we remember these items in one acronym? This is the acronym to remember, help देश, देश को आपकी हेल्प की जरूरत है, ओके। हम लोग क्यों ये ऑप्शनल वर्सेस डिफॉल्ट का चक्कर पड़ रहे हैं, बिकॉज we want to contribute more taxes to the government treasury so that they can invest in the desh ka development, okay, that's why we want to go do away with the exemptions under the optional regime and move to default regime, right, that's why they wanted to bring the default regime to make it more standardized, and little more tax getting into government exchequer is always good for them, it will help to help desh, है ना। तो देश को हेल्प करने के लिए हम डिफॉल्ट रेजिम में जाएंगे, ऐसा नहीं बोल रहे टैक्स रेट्स आर लोअर सो यू नो डिफॉल्ट रेजिम में बी बेटर, यू हैव द ऑप्शन, यू चूज व्हिच इज बेटर फॉर यू, but the whole point is the tax as a concept is used to help desh, so let's remember this as a way to remember these points. H क्या है, H stands for HRA, H is for HRA, E is for entertainment allowance, L is for leave travel concession, P is for P tax deduction, okay, D is for deduction, deduction मतलब standard deduction under वो 75 और 50 वाला, फिर E is for education allowance, children education allowance, S is for Sodexo coupon, वो 50 रुपया पर मील Sodexo coupon, और H is for hostel allowance, समझ गए? Do you find this easy to remember now? HRA, HRA, then entertainment allowance, leave travel concession, professional tax, deduction, which under section 16, money standard deduction, education allowance, Sodexo coupon, hostel allowance. Yes? Okay? चलो, good. ये बड़ा, ये you should make this in your sheet. ये बड़ा सर्कल, ये छोटा सर्कल, सो दैट यू रिमेम्बर कि आपको बड़े से छोटे में जाना है। डिफॉल्ट रेजिम का टैक्सेबल बेस बाय ऑल लॉजिक शुड बी मोर देन ऑप्शनल रेजिम का टैक्सेबल बेस, ओके, ठीक है, ऑल राइट। चलो, विद दैट सेड Let's get started. क्लास 4 आज क्या पढ़ेंगे? आज हम लोग पढ़ेंगे वी आर 30 minutes we have revised and we've done cheat sheets. Okay, so now we will get into today's class. बड़ा सर्कल से छोटा एक बार और एक्सप्लेन कर दीजिए. बड़ा सर्कल से छोटा का यही लॉजिक था कि यू आर मूविंग फ्रॉम डिफॉल्ट रेजिम टू ऑप्शनल रेजिम. डिफॉल्ट रेजिम में टैक्सेबल सैलरी इज जनरली हायर because the government brought default regime to discourage incentives and deductions, exemptions. They did not want all the incentives and exemptions to remain. Okay, that's why they have removed them. So जब डिफॉल्ट रेजिम में हम सैलरी निकालते हैं वो थोड़ा ज्यादा निकलता है क्योंकि एग्जेम्पशंस नहीं मिलते, बट ऑप्शनल रेजिम में थोड़ा कम निकलता है. So big circle to small circle will help you remember that most of the items you need to reduce from default regime to appear to arrive at the optional regime, except one item which is standard deduction under section 16, which means the 75 and 25,000 wala 50,000 wala gap you need to increase. That's the only item where default regime is better than optional regime. So there you need to add that incremental 25,000. Okay, chalo. We are going to do today valuation of perquisite. So we last class we got a sneak peek into what is perquisite, and I hope I could clear your concept कि भाई perks मतलब non monetary benefits ही नहीं होते हैं. जो cash benefits भी perks हो सकते हैं if they were otherwise your obligation and employer is making it good. Generally reimbursements. Okay. अच्छा. So now we will do valuation of perquisites क्योंकि जो cash components होते हैं वो तो easy होता है. आपको जो मिला वही है वैल्यू, है ना? जो मिला वही वैल्यू है. पर नॉन मॉनेटरी पर्पसेस में थोड़ा मुश्किल है बिकॉज यू डोंट नो द मॉनेटरी वैल्यू और यू नीड टू कैलकुलेट द मॉनेटरी वैल्यू. एंड देयर आर डिफाइंड रूल्स बिकॉज इनकम टैक्स मोस्ट एज मच एज पॉसिबल ट्राइज टू मेक थिंग्स स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड. सबके ऊपर छोड़ देंगे ना कि जिसका जो मन वो करो तो टैक्स एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन पागल हो जाएगी असेसमेंट करते करते. सो दे हैव डिफाइंड रूल्स कि भाई ये ऐसे ही कैलकुलेट होगा, सब लोग ऐसे ही करना, स्टैंडर्ड. ओके, तो रेंट फ्री अकोमोडेशन ऐसे ही वैल्यू होगा, लीव ट्रैवल कंसेशन, मेडिकल फैसिलिटी, मूवेबल एसेट, मोटर कार, स्वेट इक्विटी, ये वाले इन सब पर्पसेस का वैल्यूएशन हम लोग पढ़ेंगे. ये 6 आइटम्स एग्जाम्स में बहुत पॉपुलर है. आज का ये क्लास आपके एग्जाम्स के लिए बहुत पॉपुलर और रेलेवेंट है. ओके, अगर सैलरी की कोई सम आती है ये 6 में से कम एक एडजस्टमेंट तो होगा ही उसमें. ओके, ऑलराइट, चलो ठीक है, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट क्लास है तो फिर क्यों टाइम वेस्ट करें. सब ध्यान से करना, हाँ ध्यान से सुनो. Rent free accommodation last year class we discussed, so I will just quickly summarize it. Okay, we did that if you are getting an unfurnished accommodation from the government, then license fees is the value of the accommodation. If you are getting unfurnished accommodation by private employer who is also owning the accommodation, then it depends on city population. If the population is less than 15 lakhs, then 5%. 15 to 40 then 7.5%, more than 40 then 10%. जनरली आपको जो टाइप का सिटी दिया जाएगा, अभी कौन सा ही तो सिटी होगा जो 40 लाख के कम पॉपुलेशन होगा. जनरली यू विल बी गिवन मेट्रो सिटीज दिस एंड दैट, जिसको देख के ही आप समझ जाएंगे कि 40 लाख से ज्यादा ही होगा.
मैम सॉरी टू डिस्टर्ब यू.
सॉरी,
हेलो, सॉरी टू डिस्टर्ब यू मैम.
या
मैम वी हैव क्लोज द चैट.
ओके,
and students will now ask their query on BioSnowledge portal.
चलो ओके, अंडरस्टूड. So
Yeah,
students, please move to the BOS portal. Please put your queries there. Okay, we have disabled the chat box. Okay, don't worry, your queries will be answered. I have now opened the BOS portal as a live platform. I am seeing your queries on live basis. Okay, so don't worry. Please move to BOS portal chat box. Do not use Zoom chat box. Okay, chalo. All right. तो जो unfurnished accommodation है private employer की, which is also owned by the employer, there it depends on the city population. Now, maximum cities of today in India have a population more than 40 lakhs. ठीक है, if you can't remember so much, just remember the more than 40 lakhs वाला bracket कि 10% of salary होने वाला है. Okay, so 10% of salary. What is salary? We have just studied. Salary over here means everything, all the cash benefits. है ना, all the cash, bonus, commission, this except DA forming part, except non-monetary benefits, except contribution to RPF, except medical insurance premium, except terminal benefits. सारे generally cash benefits RFA में होते हैं. तो RFA में ना निकालने में एक प्रॉब्लम होती है, क्योंकि RFA का valuation is linked to value of salary, and salary you have to calculate, to a certain bit, and then you use that value to calculate RFA, and then that RFA also forms part of salary. Okay, so थोड़ा सा stage wise, मतलब if in your question you get RFA, सबसे पहले वो निकालने मत बैठ जाना, first do the rest, क्योंकि you will then be able to understand कौन कौन से components लेके we will find out the meaning, the amount of salary, और फिर उसी को use करके RFA निकाल लेंगे. Understood ना? चलो ठीक है. Okay. तो अनफर्निश्ड अकोमोडेशन बाय प्राइवेट एम्प्लॉयर में मोर देन 40 lakhs में 10% ऑफ सैलरी इज गोइंग टू बी कंसीडर्ड एज द टैक्सेबल वैल्यू. और वही अनफर्निश्ड अकोमोडेशन अगर प्राइवेट एम्प्लॉयर देता है जो कि लीज पे लिया है, मतलब उस एम्प्लॉयर ने भी वो प्रॉपर्टी ओन नहीं करते एम्प्लॉयर, वो उन्होंने खुद ही लीज पे लिया और फिर आपको दे रहे हैं यूज करने के लिए. तो भाई सिंपल है, अगर आप लीज पे लेते हैं तो आपका भी एक लीज कॉस्ट है, दैट वी शुड डेफिनेटली फैक्टर इन द वैल्यूएशन ऑफ परक्विजिट. If you would have noticed, if you try to logically understand how the lawmaker thinks, in all the other cases, the case A, list A and list B that we were doing, that means especially list A because those were taxable for all, the valuation of perquisite has been generally linked to the cost to the employer. Okay, whatever benefit, whatever extra money an employer has to spend to make that facility available to you, that is generally the value of perquisite in your hands, because otherwise you would have had to spend it. Okay, so it's the opportunity cost. I mean, you have saved, the benefit you have actually enjoyed is the amount that you would have had to spend if your employer had not pitched it. Okay, so generally cost to employer is the principle for valuing perquisite. That is the logic. Now that has been defined through some rules in certain cases. Okay, so where something is owned by the employer, then it is difficult to determine the amount he's paying or spending, because he may not be paying anything. He owns that property or he owns that facility. Okay, then you need some rules. जैसे एजुकेशन में बोल दिया कि अगर स्कूल एम्प्लॉयर का ही है तो आप देख लो कि उस लोकेलिटी में कोई दूसरा सिमिलर स्कूल उसी क्लास के बच्चे के लिए से कितना चार्ज करता है ना. So that is how we try to find out the opportunity cost. That अगर एम्प्लॉयर का स्कूल नहीं होता तो बेचारा एम्प्लॉय क्या करता, कहाँ जाके कितना पे करता. That is how we try to find out the cost. Similarly, यहाँ पे when you are talking about owned rent-free accommodation, they said कि भाई मार्केट वैल्यू देखना पड़ेगा ना, एरिया वैल्यू देखना पड़ेगा, उस एरिया में प्रॉपर्टी की क्या वैल्यू है. तो अब कितना सर्कल रेट आपको अगर हम लोग लिस्ट दे देना कि हर पूरे इंडिया में जितने सिटीज हैं उसमें जितने एरियाज हैं उनका ये सर्कल रेट है, ये होगा परक्विजिट वैल्यू, आप क्या याद कर पाएंगे? कोई भी टैक्स एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन याद कर पाएगी, उसको इम्प्लीमेंट कर पाएगी? पागल हो जाएंगे डिस्प्यूट करते करते वैल्यू, प्रॉपर्टी की वैल्यू को. इसलिए उन्होंने ब्रॉड रूल्स बता दिए कि सिटी का पॉपुलेशन पकड़ो, एरिया मत पकड़ो. ओके, और जनरली हमारे सिटीज 40 लाख से ज्यादा ही पॉपुलेशन रखते हैं, तो आपको 10% ऑफ सैलरी ले लेनी है, बस सिंपल. ओके, क्या ये फेयर वैल्यू होगा? शायद नहीं, बट यही वैल्यू, ये कन्वीनियंट वैल्यू होगा टैक्स एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को चलने के लिए. ठीक है. ओके, अगर वही प्रॉपर्टी एम्प्लॉयर टेक्स ऑन लीज इंस्टेड ऑफ ओनिंग इट, then employer must be paying a lease rent. So that should form a part of valuation of the perquisite. And they have also compared it with 10% of salary, whichever is lower. So lease rent or 10% of salary, whichever is lower. Okay, यहाँ पे taxable value whichever is lower निकाल रहे हैं, थोड़ा सा अलग है. Generally exemption lower of the following मिलता है, यहाँ taxable value lower of the following है. अरे वाह, है ना, कभी कभी टैक्स पे लॉ मेकर्स अच्छे भी हो जाते हैं. ओके, फर्निश्ड रेंट फ्री अकोमोडेशन बाय एनी एम्प्लॉयर. तो अभी तक हम लोग कर रहे थे अनफर्निश्ड अकोमोडेशन, गवर्नमेंट देगी तो क्या होगा, प्राइवेट वाला देगा, खुद का है तो क्या होगा, किसी और से लीज पे लिया है तो क्या होगा. अब चलो हमने वैल्यू ऑफ अनफर्निश्ड अकोमोडेशन निकाल लिया. अब अगर उसमें लगा एक तड़का फर्नीचर का, आपको क्वेश्चन में पार्ट बी में पूछा व्हाट इफ यही अकोमोडेशन जो उसका वैल्यू आपने ऊपर निकाला है वो फर्निश्ड था, तो आप क्या करेंगे? तो क्या आप दोबारा से कैलकुलेट करेंगे? आप वही वैल्यू ले लेंगे. Value of furnished accommodation is equal to value of unfurnished accommodation plus value of furniture. है ना, सिंपल. Value of furnished accommodation is equal to value of unfurnished accommodation plus value of furniture. That means जो ऊपर में आपने वैल्यू निकाला है ABC जिस भी तरीके से वो वैल्यू ले लो, उसके ऊपर तड़का लगा दो फर्नीचर का. कितना कितना तड़का लगेगा? अगर वो फर्नीचर एम्प्लॉयर की ओन्ड है तो 10% ऑफ कॉस्ट. अगर वो फर्नीचर एम्प्लॉयर ने भी रेंट पे ली है तो फिर रेंट. ठीक है ना मैम? कैन यू टीच इन इंग्लिश? राइट. सो फॉर फर्निश्ड रेंट-फ्री accommodation, how you need to value is you need to find out the value of unfurnished accommodation as per the rules we have discussed above. Okay, so you will see whether the employer is a government or it's a private employer who is also owning the property, or it is a private employer who has taken the property on lease. All right, so you first find out the value of unfurnished accommodation. Then you need to add the value of furniture to it to determine the value of furnished accommodation. Okay, how will you determine the value of furniture? If the furniture is owned by the employer, then 10% of salary, 10% of cost of furniture, sorry, 10% of cost. They are trying to say that the furniture is also already being used by the employer. He is now allowed you to use it. So it's kind of annual depreciation. You can consider that as, your usage value. In that way, they have said 10% of cost to be considered. And if the furniture was taken on rent by the employer, then the rent paid by the employer is the value of furniture, which you need to add to the value of unfurnished accommodation. Okay. So I hope that's clear, Dhanush. And next is hotel accommodation by an employer. So we were talking about accommodation as in house, flat. Okay. Now, if he is providing hotel accommodation, then what? Then it is hotel accommodation is hotel rent or 24% of salary, whichever is lower. Hotel rent or 24% of salary, whichever is lower. Meaning of salary, same as what we said, that all allowances, generally all cash, bonus, everything is covered, commission, everything is covered. DA forming part is not. Perquisites are not covered. Medical insurance premium, terminal benefits, contribution to provident fund, these are not covered. Okay. All right. Now, so this is when the accommodation is provided to you free of cost. But in some cases, employer provides you the accommodation not free but at a discount. That is called concessional accommodation. So, ma'am, do we have separate rules to find out the value of concessional accommodation? No. You find out the value of rent-free accommodation as if you were not paying any rent. Okay. Then you reduce the amount the employer has recovered from the employee. So you found out the value of rent-free accommodation as per the rules that we just discussed. Then you reduce the amount recovered from the employee. That gives you value of discounted or concessional accommodation. Fair enough? So instead of zero, if it is a complete rent-free means 100% discount. And suppose some rent has been recovered, that means at a discount that property has gone to the employee. So whatever he has given back, that you reduce, then you get the value of the perquisite. Only DA is not covered in salary while RFA. No. DA not forming part is not covered in salary in RFA. Generally, all other cash components are covered. But DA not forming part is not covered, even in RFA. So DA not forming part, actually in the last sheet, if you see, DA not forming part is covered only in case of gratuity covered under Payment of Gratuity Act. It is not covered in any other terminal benefit or in HRA or in even RFA. DA not forming part will be excluded from RFA salary calculation. Okay. Okay. Then we did one point. In case the same accommodation is provided for more than 1 year, then what happens? This I had to very quickly do in the last class because we didn't have much time. What you mean by this is that suppose the accommodation was given to the employee in year 1 and he is also using it till year 2. Okay, the employer-employee relationship also continues. This is not a case of unauthorized use. Okay, so he has been an employee with the company and they have given him for more than 1 year. He is going on using that property. Okay. Now what will happen? You will find out in year 2 what you will do. So you will first find out the value of the property like you calculated above, okay, based on these rules. Whether it is employer be whatever, whether it's furnished, unfurnished, hotel, whatever. However, they have given you the rules, you first calculate the value. Okay. Then you need to make some adjustments, inflationary adjustments. Inflationary adjustments. So if you continue to use the same property till the second year, how can you pay tax on the same value in the second year when the entire world is facing an inflation? Understood? That's what they thought. The lawmakers thought that, array, this is not right. If the property is being used for more than 1 year, how can the employee pay tax on the same amount? It should increase now with time. With time, if he had taken some property on rent, he would have had to suffer inflation in the rent, right? Then why is my taxable perquisite not increasing? So lawmakers felt that I have to do an inflationary adjustment to this value. It's not fair. If he paid tax on X in year 1, he should pay tax on X plus something in year 2 because some inflation has happened. How much inflation has happened? There is a concept called cost of inflation index. There is a concept of cost of inflation index. Every year, the government comes out with this index. Just say there is GDP and there are so many macroeconomic parameters now. This is also one macroeconomic parameter. This represents a value, an index of value of inflation of the current year. So some base year was considered, which was 2001. Do I need to know? Not now. You will learn of this more in capital gains chapter. Then you will be absolutely, you will become an expert in CIU. Okay. Right now, because you've not studied capital gains, so I have to tell you. Ma'am, you're not visible. Hello? But I have enabled video. Now I have enabled video from both the things. Okay. So at least one of the cameras will show you my picture. Okay. Anyway, so I hope now I'm visible. Angle maybe. Okay, chalo, okay. So now let's see that cost of inflation index we were doing. So in 2001, that was considered to be a base year, and some suppose value was determined that was considered as base. And after that, whatever inflation is happening, they have been given some values year-wise. Okay, every year government comes out with some value. Do we need to learn the values? Yes, at least for 2 years you should learn. Rest, they may give you in the exam itself, question itself. You remember the cost of inflation index for financial year 23-24 as 348, and the cost of inflation index for the subsequent year, which is 363 for FY 24-25. Okay, these two values you remember. Now, this law came very recently. This thing that we are talking about, that the need to do inflationary adjustment in RFA. So first year has been defined in the law, and that happens to be FY 23-24. In the last year only this law came. So your question will have that the property was given in FY 23-24 and the employee is also using in FY 24-25. The previous year for your purpose is FY 24-25, right? So it becomes the second year in your example. 24-25 suppose is the second year of use, and first year of use was 23-24. So you determine the value of 23-24 using the parameters which are given over here, and then what you will do is you will multiply by CII of subsequent year, which is 24-25, 363, divided by CII of first year, which is 348, FY 23-24. Okay, so whatever value you got, you will, suppose Z, you will multiply that by current year's inflationary index and then divide it by the last year's inflationary index. Okay, this will give you a adjusted value of the rent-free accommodation. So what is this, ma'am? Why all this? If accommodation is used for more than 1 year, lawmakers want you to do an inflationary adjustment to the value that you calculate as per these rules. And that inflationary adjustment is done through CII. You multiply the cost of inflation index of the subsequent year, divide by the cost of inflation index of the first year, which cannot be below before financial year 23-24, because it was in that year that the law came. So financial year 23-24 in the bottom, 348. Financial year 24-25 on the numerator, which is 363. You make this adjustment and then you derive the value. When we do a sum, you will understand it better. We will do it. It is a part of your homework sums. Try to attempt it. Next class, we'll definitely solve in the class. Okay. Next point is transfer cases. Transfer cases means if there is like we were discussing, that a person has been transferred. He was originally posted in Kolkata. He's been transferred to Mumbai. So he has to go and find a house in Mumbai. So for 15 days, lawmakers say that if your employer has given you some place to stay, a guest house or something for 15 days, then you don't have to pay any tax on that. Okay. But if you continue to hold a property here, they have given you a property here also in Kolkata where your family is staying, and they have given you a property in Mumbai where you have gone because of relocation. So you are continuing to use two properties at the same time, both given by the employer. In that case, the up to 90 days, you need to pay perquisite value on lower of the two perquisite values. That means you calculate the proper value of both of them, and lower of them you pay tax on it. But after 90 days, it is too much, use of employer benefit. So you then pay tax on both the perquisite values. You calculate value of both the houses, one in Kolkata, one in Mumbai, and after 90 days of posting, you pay tax on both of them. Okay. Not very popular in exam, but if a question comes, a small kind of question, it may just come on this part only, that what happens if there is a transfer, what happens up to 15 days, what happens up to 90 days, what happens thereafter. Okay, so you just have to remember it. All right, so this is rent-free accommodation summarized in one slide. You have so many pages and paras in your study material, but if you read this, it is comprehensive. You don't need to refer to any other study material. And when you solve sums, you will also be further clear about what we are talking about. Okay. Next, we do illustration 8. Which is on rent-free accommodation. This is a sum we will solve. Okay, you can see there are 5 parts of it, A, B, C, D, E. But they will not take too much time. They are very small things. And nowadays I'm seeing these kind of questions are very popular in exam, where there are small, the question is broken into small parts, and it's easy to get marks also in this way. There are more steps involved. They test your knowledge better. And if you have a good control over knowledge, then, without writing too much, you will also be able to secure marks. Okay. So that's how it will help you. All right, please read this question quickly. Please read this question quickly. Okay, I hope you've read the question. So, Mr. C is a finance manager in ABC Limited. The company has provided him with RFA in Mumbai, and there is a basic, there is a DA. DA part of it forms part, which is 30%. There is bonus. Company has allotted house to him. He occupied only from 1st of November. So actually, the benefit has happened only since November. So November, December, January, February, March, 5 months involved. Calculate the value of perquisite. Let's do only part A first, then we'll do the other parts. Okay. So firstly, just calculate the value of basic, full value of basic, because house was given to him in November, but he was employed since April. Na? So basic, etc. These components will accrue to him since April. For full year, you need to calculate. So please calculate and tell me how much is the basic. How much is the basic? No replies. Why? How much is the basic? Chat box is disabled, but BOS is open. Now I got a lot of answers. 102, 102, 102, 102. Achha, I asked you, you all replied. Nobody asked me, ma'am, why are you asking this question? Have you been asked to calculate the total salary, or have you been asked to calculate the value of RFA? What have you been asked to calculate? RFA. So, if I ask you to jump into the well, will you jump into the well? You will question me, na? Ma'am, if the value of RFA has been asked, and even in part B, C, D, E, I cannot see that value of full salary has been asked, then why will we calculate full year salary? We do not have time in the exam to waste. You should question me. Right? You should question me. Ma'am, why will we? Okay, 10-20 seconds late. That's okay. If only value of RFA has been sought, then we will not calculate the annual salary. Why will we waste time? For calculating value of RFA, only that many months of basic salary is relevant for which the person was actually using the property. So we'll only calculate those many months. Why will we calculate for full year? Right? Please question me. I give you googlies also many times. Okay. So you only need to calculate for 5 months basically. So now tell me 5 months RFA, 5 months basic, how much? 5 months basic, how much? 8,500 into 5. Okay. Then what else should form part of salary for DF for RFA purpose? DA forming part. So 22,000 per month into 30% into 5. Okay, that is DA forming part. Bonus completely allowed. 15 HRA hota to it wouldn't have been allowed. RFA hone se it is allowed. So this is the meaning of salary. और तो कोई value दिया नहीं है. This is the total value information that we've got. So this is the total meaning of salary. This is coming to 53,000. Have you all got it? This is coming to 53,000. Yes. Acha. So now tell me, where is he stationed? In Mumbai. Mumbai ka population is more than 40 lakhs, right? And company has given him RFA unfurnished. Okay, so I don't need to add furniture cost. Okay. And does company own the property, or has the company taken on lease? We don't know. But if the company had taken it on lease, then they would have provided lease rent fund information now. If the question does not provide you lease rent information, then the best to assume that the company owns that property. Therefore, they are not paying anything. Right? So, lease rent information is not there. So, this is a case of rent-free unfurnished accommodation provided by non-government private employer, which is also owned by the employer. That means you need to first check the city's population, which is more than 40 lakhs. And then you need to calculate 10% of salary, which you have determined like this. So 10% of 53,000, which is 5,300. Okay. So is the value of 5,300 okay for you all? You have all derived 5,300. That completely solves your part A. Part A answer is 5,300. Acha, this person is under which regime? Have they told you? No. Does it matter? Does it matter? For HRA it matters, but for RFA it doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter because it is taxable under both. Okay, these are things you should keep reminding yourself so that you don't get confused in the exam. Right? Which regime, kya kare, ye, wo, you have to understand na, by what is relevant for you and what is not relevant for you. Very important to understand. Okay. Now the second part is part B. Calculate the value of perquisite if Mr. C is required to pay a rent of 1,000 per month to the company. This means this is a case of concessional accommodation. That means it is not completely rent free. The employee has to pay back 1,000 per month. If the employee has to pay back 1,000 per month, then what are we going to do? We will simply reduce the amount he has paid back, which is 1,000 into 5, from the value that we have determined in A above to determine the value of B. मैम 300 कौन सा परक्विजिट का वैल्यू होता है? ये बहुत हाइपोथेटिकल नंबर्स हैं, ठीक है, इतना कम नहीं आता. Okay, so 300 is the answer for point number B. Yes, 5,300 minus 5,000. Very good, very good. Calculate the value of perquisite if ABC Limited has taken this accommodation on a lease rent. Taken this accommodation on a lease rent of 1,025 per month, and Mr. C is required to pay 1,000 per month for use of this accommodation. That means this is a case of unfurnished accommodation provided by the employer when he has taken it on rent himself, and it is provided at a concessional rate to the employee. So first we will find out the value of the accommodation, that is lease rental or 10% of salary, whichever is lower. Yes, so lease rental is 1,225 into 5, or 10% of salary, which is 5,300 that you have determined in part A, whichever is lower. Which is lower, please tell me? This is lower. Okay, so you have first found out the value of the accommodation. Then you reduce the amount of rent which the employee is paying back, which is 5,000. So what is the value of perquisite? Correct, 125. Chalo, next part. Calculate the value of perquisite if ABC Limited has also provided a television. Baba, television. WDV 10,000, cost 25,000, and 2 ACs. Rent paid by company for ACs is 400 per month. Television was provided on 1st January. Mr. C is required to pay a rent of 1,000. My God, too much information. Too much information. Let us solve here. Okay. सबसे पहले, so this is a case of furnished accommodation, furnished concessional accommodation, because there is a furniture given, some rent is being recovered from the employee. Okay, and this is how it is being charged. So in case of furnished accommodation, how do you value it? What is the valuation rule for furnished? First, you find it out as if it is completely rent-free. Then you reduce the concession, and that's how you determine the concessional value. Okay, so first let's find out as if it is completely rent-free. What is the value of furnished accommodation? Value of furnished accommodation is equal to value of unfurnished accommodation plus value of furniture. Furniture means includes TV, AC, these things are included. Okay, what is the value of unfurnished accommodation which is taken on rent? Is it as per the question, what is it? As per the question, as per the question, they are not clear that whether this accommodation was owned or leased, because it was owned in part A and leased in part B, and they have in part D not told you whether leased, but whether you need to assume that it was owned or it was leased. If they have not provided that whether it was owned or leased, then you should assume it was owned. Okay. So in a question where they give you A, B, C, and then they only got confused. They did not tell you what you need to presume to move to D. Whether you should presume that it was owned as per A or leased as per C. Now, if they forgot to tell you, then you assume owned. You don't assume leased. Okay. So if it is owned, then what is the value of unfurnished accommodation? I think it is same as A, answer of A, which is 5,300. And what is the value of furniture? So value of furniture, one furniture which is TV is owned by the employer. TV is owned by the employer. So if it is owned by the employer, then you need to do a 10% valuation of cost. Cost is 25,000 of the TV. What is the cost? Let's read the sum again. TV cost is 25,000. They have given you a written down value also. Is it relevant for you? They have, because see, it is a furniture. TV is owned by the employer. Okay, that means he is enjoying depreciation on that also. So there are two values which you will get: original cost and WDV. Which one will you use? Which one will you use? Yes, you should write the assumption that we are in the absence of information. We are assuming this is owned property. Original cost. So even if cost, WDV, everything is given to you, carrying value, WDV or carrying value, whatever, by whatever name it's called, you will use cost because your question tells, your law tells you that you should do 10% of cost. But will you do for the full year? No. The TV was used only since January, 1st January. So TV was used only for 3 months. TV was used only for 3 months. So you will take the value only for 3 months. Na? You will calculate 10% of cost multiplied by 3 by 12. Okay. All right. And what about the AC? AC has been taken on rent by the employer. So that is simple. He has to pay rent. You just take that. He is paying how much rent? He is paying 400 per month. But he is giving you 2 ACs. So 400 per month for 2 ACs. And how many months he is giving you? 5. Because TV he gave you on 1st January. But AC he gave you on 1st November when you moved to the property. Okay. It is such a simple sum, but it has so many details that you have to carefully see in the question. Okay. So he gave you 2 ACs. He gave it to you to use them since 1st November. So 5 months of use. And he gave you only 1 TV. And you need to use it only for 3 months. So you calculate only value of 3 months. In this way, you calculate the value of furniture. You add to the value of unfurnished accommodation. And this is how you get the value of furnished accommodation. I think the value of furniture in this case is coming to, who will tell me? The value of furniture is coming to, furniture money, you add television and AC both and then tell me what is the value as per you. I mean, what is the value of this block? 9,300? No. What is the value of this curly bracket? What is the value of the curly bracket? Four six two five. Very good. Okay. So the total value is 9925. And out of that, it is not a rent-free totally. It is a concessional because employee is paying you back 5,000. So you reduce 5,000 from 9925. So how much are you getting? Value of concessional accommodation 9925 minus rent received from employee 5,000 is equal to 4925. This is the value of the perquisite. This is the answer of point number D. Okay, clear? Clear to everybody? Now let's move to point number E. Point number E says, read the sum. That's my question. Point number E says, in case the question is saying that compute the value of perquisite if Mr. C is a government employee and license fee determined by the government is this. So, in case of an unfurnished rent-free accommodation, if the accommodation is provided by the government, then the value should be license fees. So, license fees of unfurnished rent-free accommodation should be the value, which is 700 per month. If he is using for 5 months, then 700 into 5, 3,500. But now again, they didn't tell you whether you should add the value of furniture to it, whether you should reduce the value of rent recovered from employee. Okay. So in this case, we may assume that this part E is to be read with the above parts. That means he is being given some furniture also. So we'll just add the value of furniture we have determined 4625. We'll just add that. And then we get the value of furnished accommodation. So it is 300 plus 300 plus the value 4625. 3,500 plus 4625, which is 8,125, and then you reduce the rent recovered from the employee, which is 5,000, and then you get 3,125 as value of furnished accommodation at concessional rate. So if your answer to point number E is 3,125, then it is completely clear. No, not okay. 3,500 was the first answer, was the first part. So the answer is 3,125. That is the final answer of point number D. E. Ma'am, what if TV or AC is owned by employee but employer gave allowance? If TV or AC is owned by employee but employer gave allowance, TV allowance, then it's a cash reimbursement of an obligation which you had to incur otherwise. Then it would have been a taxable perquisite for everybody. Okay, and the value would be the value which the employer has given. So it would be a taxable perquisite in that case, because it's a personal obligation of employee which is met by the employer. Okay, so let's take a small break, then we will move on to other aspects. We will move on to other points, other type of perquisites. Okay, let's take a small break and come back at 7:19. Yes. let's start. I hope everybody is back again. It's 7:19. Let's move to the next perquisite, which is leave travel concession. Okay. Leave travel concession. When you want to go on a holiday and your employer is helping you do it. So apart from just approving your leave, they are also helping you do it. How are they helping you? They are giving you some concession, or they are giving you reimbursement of the expense that you are incurring. And when you are going on a leave with family, you or family also included. And what is the meaning of family? Family for this purpose means your spouse, your children, up to two children. Up to two children. So, ma'am, if there are three children, then will we leave the third child at home? We will not take him or her. No, you take him or her. You take all the children. But the exemption is available only for two children. Okay. So, what is the meaning of family? Spouse, two children, and dependent parents or siblings. Dependent parents or siblings means brother or sister. Okay. Now, family definition is also different for different purposes of the act. Huh? It is very strange, but that's how it is. So, this also you will have to remember different places. You will feel different definitions. That summary of what is the meaning of family, that may be relevant after you have done all the heads of income, because for salary, family has not been used many a times, and LTC is one such case. And here the definition is spouse, children up to two, and dependent parents or siblings. And two children में क्या होता है ना? Sometimes they give you in the sum that there were two children. Now, in the second time, the second delivery, twins were born. So you got multiple births in the second delivery. So the first child is a single child, and then there were multiple births in the second delivery. So only in that case they are allowing multiple births. So three children are allowed only if the second birth was a case of multiple births. So if twins were born after the first child, then three children are allowed. Okay, but if twins were born in the first time itself, then the second delivery, which is the third child, is not allowed. How strange it is, but that's how it is. Okay. And exemption will be available only under optional regime. You remember the cheat sheet that we did, the Help Desh. Help Desh mein L was standing for leave travel concession. That was also one item which was different between optional and default. That means you get this exemption under optional regime, but you don't get it under default regime. All right. So you get it under optional regime. It is available up to 2 trips in a block of 4 calendar years. Now it is given block wise. So there are 4 calendar years. One block is decided in income tax, which is a fixed block. Currently, the block going on is 2022 to 2025. These are 4 calendar years. 2022, 23, 24, 25. In this block, you can take exemption twice. You can take exemption for any 2 trips of your choice. Try to take the trips where you incurred more expense, right? So you can take any 2 out of 2 trips during the span of 4 calendar years, okay, for which you can claim exemption from your employer, okay. And suppose in 2025 you said, "Arey, my God, in this span of 4 years, I only went once. I took only one holiday. I did not go. I have one unused leave travel left." Then you can carry forward one, at least maximum one, to the next block, which will be 2025 to 2029 to 2028. No, sorry, it's going to be 2026 to 2000. It's going to be 2026 to 2029. 6, 7, 8, 9. That's going to be the next block. This block is 22 to 25. Okay. So if you have any unused travel of this block, you can take maximum one, carry forward to the next block. So you will get 2 original allotments in this block, plus you can have one from the earlier one. So total you can take 3 trips in this block, because you were having one unused from the earlier block. Okay. Ma'am, will the income tax law now decide how many holidays will we take? No. You can take as many holidays as you want. They will give you limited exemption. Okay. All right. So now let's see what is the value of the perquisite in this case. If you went by air, if you did an air travel, then the exemption is limited up to economy fare of national carrier by shortest route to the place of destination. So you had to go to, say, from Mumbai to Kolkata. You did via Bhubaneswar, you stopped at Pondicherry, then you came to Kolkata. This is not going to be allowed. You took such a long route and you had to spend on so many flights. We don't care. Your holiday destination was supposed to be Kolkata. You will be given the economy fare. You took business class, your problem. Exemption is limited up to economy fare of travel, shortest travel between the place where you stay and the place where you actually want to go, destination. Shortest travel economy fare, airfare by a national carrier, say by Air India. So by a national carrier, air economy fare by shortest route to the place of destination. This much is the amount of exemption you will get. Ma'am, how will we know? Some question will tell you this is the fare. Okay, you just take that. If the journey is performed by the employee through any other mode, suppose he has taken railways where rail service is available, then you take AC first class rail fare. AC first class rail fare by shortest route to the place of destination. Okay. If rail service is not available, but there is another public transport system, then you take first class or deluxe class fare of that system. Okay, for shortest route. If there is no formal organized transport system also in that place, जहाँ पे रेल भी नहीं है, कोई transport system भी नहीं है, what will you do? Then you take AC first class rail fare for distance by shortest route as if the journey had been performed by rail. So if the journey was performed by rail, then what would happen? The AC first class fare, you take that. So if you do by air, then you take the economy fare of shortest route. Okay. If you go by railways, then you take the first class AC rail fare. Okay. And if you take, if where rail is not available, you've taken any other mode, then take the first class deluxe fare. And if there is no transport available also, then you take the first class rail fare, first class AC rail fare had the journey been taken by rail. Okay. All right. So these are the rules. This is how you will calculate the value of exemption. So in the question, you will say, they will say that, Mr. X has incurred so and so expenditure in travel, and XYZ Limited, his employer, has given him back so much as reimbursement. Calculate the value of taxable perquisite. So you have to first write down the amount of LTC received from the employer, whatever it is. How much is spent doesn't matter unless you use it for the purpose of valuation of perquisite. And then you reduce the amount of exemption under optional regime. You don't reduce anything under default regime. How you calculate the exemption is based on which mode of journey has been taken. How many people for you will get will be, this is the family definition. Only for these many people you will get. How many times you will get is maximum twice in this block. And if you have one unused, then you can take to the next block, which is 2026. Okay. Chalo, theek hai. Let's do a sum, you will understand. Is LTC for personal use? Yes, you are going on holiday with your family. If you are going on official trip, then it is not a perquisite even to be taxed in your hands. Okay. But if you are going on official trip and the company has allowed you to take one attendant with you or one family member with you, suppose you are a working mother, like I told you in the last class, if you're a working mother and your company says that, okay, you have to go on official duty, but we understand that you have a small child, so you take the child and you also take one family member to take care of the child. So the cost of you traveling is not perquisite because you are going on official duty. But the cost of your family member going along, which the company is paying, that is perquisite. Okay. All right, so that was different thing. This is leave travel concession where the employee has taken a leave and he's going on a holiday. So employee has to, if only the family is going, then you can't claim. Employee has to take a leave, then either go alone or take his family, and then go on a holiday. Then this is applicable. Okay. All right. Mr. D went on a holiday on 25th December, Christmas break, to Delhi with his wife and 3 children. 3 children. Arey yaar, 2 allowed the na. 2 children were allowed. Now let's see. One son is 5 years old, and then twin daughters are 3 years old. That means the daughters are younger than the son. That means First the son was born, then the daughters were born, and they were twins. So the second delivery had a multiple birth. Second delivery had a multiple birth. Then they are allowed. That means all the three children can go. It is allowed. Exemption is allowed. Okay. They went by flight, economy class, which is okay. Economy class is allowed. Total cost of tickets reimbursed by the employer was 60,000, which is 45,000 for adults, which means Mr. and Mrs. D, and 15,000 for the three children, which means 5,000 per child. Okay. Now, in our family definition, we have concluded that spouse and in this case, three children are all covered. So, employee plus spouse plus three children. If all of them are covered, then the total expense covered is 60,000 in this case. Okay, and by economy class flight they are taking, and we are assuming that he is going directly to Delhi by the shortest route. Okay, you can mention in the assumption that he is taking the shortest route. So then what is the amount of LTC exemption if he is shifted out of default regime? So under optional regime, then the exemption can be availed up to 60,000. And in the if the question was about default regime, then he would have not got any exemption. Then he would have not got any exemption. Okay, so full exemption in the first case. Then in the second case, what if among the three children, the twins were 5 years old and the son was 3 years old? That means the first delivery was multiple birth and the second delivery was single birth. So then up to two children only allowed. So employee plus spouse plus two children allowed. That means 45,000 for the adults, Mr. and Mrs. D, and 5,000 for two children only. So the exemption allowed would be 55,000 in the second case. Are we all clear? Ma'am, LTC once in Hindi. Okay, I will now speak in Bengali. Okay, this English, Hindi, English, Hindi, English, Hindi. Okay, so just for the benefit of some people, I'm repeating this in Hindi, but for people who don't understand Hindi is not a problem. I have spoken everything in English already. Okay, तो LTC तब मिलता है जब आप एम्प्लॉई अपने अकेले या फिर अपनी फैमिली के साथ हॉलिडे पे जाते हैं और आपका खर्चा एम्प्लॉयर रिइंबर्स करता है. ठीक है, तो आप कैसे हॉलिडे पे जाएंगे? आप या तो एयरफेयर या तो आप फ्लाइट से जाएंगे या तो रेलवे से जाएंगे या फिर जहां रेलवे नहीं है कोई और मोड से जाएंगे. कैसे कैलकुलेट होगा? एयरफेयर शॉर्टेस्ट रूट से इकोनॉमी एसी फेयर, इकोनॉमी फ्लाइट फेयर, या फिर रेल के केस में फर्स्ट क्लास एसी फेयर, या फिर अदर्स के केस में फर्स्ट क्लास डीलक्स फेयर. और जहां कोई भी ऑर्गेनाइज सिस्टम है ही नहीं वहां पे फर्स्ट क्लास एसी फेयर एज इफ रेलवेज अवेलेबल होता तो क्या होता? शॉर्टेस्ट रूट का आपको लेना है. कितना मिलेगा? ये एग्जेम्पशन मिलता है पूरी फैमिली के लिए विच इज कवर्स स्पाउस एंड अप टू टू चिल्ड्रन. बट अगर सेकंड बर्थ में, सेकंड डिलीवरी में मल्टीपल बर्थ्स हो गए, ट्विंस हो गए, ओके, तो फिर वो उनको भी ले लेते हैं. तो फिर 3 भी बच्चे अलाउड हो जाते हैं, नहीं तो ऐसे 2 ही बच्चे अलाउड है. और उसके अलावा डिपेंडेंट पेरेंट्स एंड सिबलिंग्स ही ले सकते हैं, नॉन डिपेंडेंट पेरेंट्स और सिबलिंग्स को नहीं ले सकते हैं. ठीक है, सो ये एग्जेम्पशन सिर्फ ऑप्शनल रेजिम में मिलता है और ये 4 साल के ब्लॉक में 2 बार मिलता है. तो अगर जैसे मिस्टर डी ने अभी 2024 में ये यूज कर लिया, ठीक है, अभी ये हम लोग को अज्यूम करना है कि वो 2022 और 23 में ऑलरेडी अपना सब कुछ यूज लैप्स नहीं कर चुके हैं, क्योंकि उनको ब्लॉक मिला था 22 से लेके 25. ठीक है, उन्होंने 24 में ये क्लेम मांगा है 25 दिसंबर का. We have to assume that he has not already used his block in 22 and 23 itself. Okay, and suppose he has one unused block from this one unused leave travel from this year, then he can carry it forward to the immediately next block, which is 26 to 29. Okay, ये है हिंदी. इससे मुश्किल भी आते हैं क्या एग्जाम में? हाँ, ये तो इजी है. इससे मुश्किल पर ना इसमें बहुत ज्यादा मुश्किल होती नहीं है. एनटीसी में मतलब घूम फिर के यही 2 वेरिएशन होते हैं. They form one adjustment of a big exam, of a big question, and generally this adjustment is this level easy only. Okay, all right. ये हो गया एलटीसी का सोल्यूशन. अब हम आते हैं नेक्स्ट इसमें परक्विजिट में, which is medical facilities. Okay, all right. Medical facilities, एक बार इसको पढ़ो. Let me just have some water. मेडिकल फैसिलिटीज भी एक टैक्सेबल परक्विजिट है, कभी कभी एग्जेम्प्ट होता है. क्या रूल्स है एक बार पढ़ो. फैमिली की डेफिनेशन सेम है जो हमने पहले पढ़ी थी. बच्चे 2 होंगे 3 होंगे, यहाँ पे कोई लिमिट नहीं है. लीव ट्रैवल में 2 बच्चों का लिमिट था, यहाँ पे 1 बच्चों का लिमिट नहीं है. The following medical facilities are exempt from tax. तो अगर मेडिकल रीइंबर्समेंट देते हैं वो भी इसमें कवर्ड है, क्योंकि हमने तो पढ़ा ही है कि कैश पर्पस भी हो भी सकता है. तो क्या ट्रीटमेंट होती है फैसिलिटीज की? अगर एम्प्लॉयर ने आपको एक ट्रीटमेंट दिया, आपको या आपकी फैमिली को, in a hospital which includes clinic or nursing home maintained by the employer. So employer maintains a medical facility which is a hospital or a nursing home or a clinic, whatever, and they are allowing you free treatment to you or your family, then that is exempt. Okay, because medical is a very primary need of an individual. So law is not that strict when it comes to taxation of primary care. So education or medical, they are not that strict. Even if you see in education, they said that up to 1,000 rupees per child, the educational facility per visit is exempt. Right now, that is not an adequate limit. That's a separate problem. But when the law was made, maybe that was an adequate limit. Okay. So medical facility also, they are saying that the following types of medical facilities are exempt from tax. Achha, I've used the word proviso. Who can tell me what does this mean? Will you be asked in the exam what is proviso? No. Proviso, what is proviso? You will not be asked. But whenever you are interpreting law, this is something you need to understand. Exception, yes, yes. So it is a legal terminology. When the act is made, it has a lot of sections, and if the lawmaker wants to give an exception to the main rule, then they do it by way of proviso. That this should happen. However, for the following case, this is not true. If they want to give an exception to the general law, they generally do by way of proviso to section. Okay, so the general law is tax every perquisite, but the proviso gives you benefits that in these cases it will not be taxable. These are cases of exemption. That if the medical treatment is happening in a facility maintained by the employer, it is not taxable. If there is reimbursement of medical expenditure, okay, when the expenditure has been incurred by the employee in a government hospital or for a prescribed disease or in respect of a COVID disease, COVID illness, okay, so there are certain requirements that you need to produce COVID positive report and the treatment reports and the certificate of COVID, etc., whatever. So if in these cases medical expenditure is incurred, which is in a government hospital or for a prescribed disease, there is a list of disease prescribed in rules. You don't need to remember so much now. Okay. Or in respect of COVID-19 illness subject to production of relevant documents, then this kind of reimbursement will also be tax-free. Health insurance premium paid for employee is exempt. You must be remembering that life insurance premium paid for personal policy of employee is a taxable perquisite. But for group insurance, it is not taxable, right? But medical insurance or health insurance premium, even if it is paid for employee, it is not a taxable perquisite. Okay, so health insurance premium is excluded over here. Agar now, if you connect the dots, when you were doing RFA ka meaning of salary for the purpose of RFA, you remember we excluded certain things. That was DA forming part, terminal benefits, contribution to fund. There was one more item, medical insurance. because we were reducing the exempt allowances, we were reducing the perquisites. There we also reduced medical insurance क्योंकि वो ऐसे भी perquisite में नहीं, वो ऐसे भी taxable नहीं. Alright. Oh, okay. Then reimbursement of health insurance premium paid for self or family. So either they pay directly for you or you pay and they pay you back. It's the same thing. But if they pay directly for you, it is exempt only if they pay for you. But if they reimburse to you, then it is okay. Even okay if they reimburse for family. Okay. So if they pay for you, it is only available. Exemption is available only if they pay for you. But if they reimburse, then exemption is also available if they reimburse for family. Then amount paid directly or reimbursement towards expenditure incurred outside India. So if suppose for medical treatment, you have to go outside India. Okay, you have to go to a foreign country, and then the employer is paying you some, reimbursement so that you can go to a foreign country and take medical treatment. ठीक है. तो टू द एक्सटेंट परमिटेड बाय आरबीआई, आप पढ़ेंगे बाद में कि आरबीआई में एक स्कीम होता है लिबरलाइज्ड रेमिटेंस स्कीम. क्योंकि अगर एक इंडिविजुअल को फॉरेन करेंसी देश के बाहर भेजना है तो वो इतना फ्री नहीं है. इट्स अ रेगुलेटेड एक्टिविटी. ओके, we have foreign exchange deficit in India and we conserve our foreign exchange. We do not allow a free hand. जिसको जो भेजना है भेजो बाहर. Okay, so RBI likes to control that. And they have a liberalized remittance scheme जो individuals के लिए एक लिमिट बांधता है कि आप इतना ही बाहर फॉरेन करेंसी भेज सकते हैं, इस पर्पस के लिए भेज सकते हैं. इसके अलावा आपको कुछ करना है तो आके पहले मेरे से परमिशन लो. ठीक है ना. So if to the extent permitted by the RBI, an individual wants to send money outside India for medical treatment, then that reimbursement is tax-free perquisite. Now, this is for treatment. But if a person has to get treated outside, he has to also travel, he has to stay over there, he has to take a personal attendant, a family member along. That person has to travel, that person has to stay over there. So there are lots of ancillary expenditure also to treatment outside India. There is a stay expenditure, there is a travel expenditure. Okay, so stay expenditure of the employee or one member of family and attendant to the extent permitted by RBI is also covered here. And travel expense of the employee or member of family and one attendant is also covered over here if the employee's gross total income is less than 2 lakhs. Travel exemption will be given only if the employee's GTI is less than 2 lakhs. But it's so weird. If the employee's gross total income is less than 2 lakhs, it is very unlikely that he will go on medical treatment outside India. Okay, so it really doesn't make sense, right? So amount, what are they actually trying to exempt? They are trying to exempt the amount you have spent on medical treatment outside India to the extent of medical treatment expenditure, permissible extent for your medical treatment, for your stay of the employee, of his family, of one dependent attendant. That much is allowed to the extent permitted by the RBI. And in case of travel, it is allowed for the employee and family member and one attendant, but only if employee's GTI is less than 2 lakhs. Otherwise, it is going to be taxable. Okay. What is family? Family is self, spouse, children, and dependent parents or siblings. Number of children, no limit. Okay. So what all is exempt? Treatment in the employer's hospital, reimbursement of medical expenditure in certain cases, prescribed disease or government hospital or COVID case, health insurance premium paid for employee, reimbursement of health insurance premium paid for employee or family, and medical treatment outside India, covering medical treatment and stay of employee and family member and one attendant to the extent permitted by RBI. But travel is exempt only if employee's GTI is less than 2 lakhs. Okay. You don't need to remember the whole list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but you need to know the treatment of each of these if they are asked in exam. Let's do a question. You will be able to quickly apply all this. Yahin pe yes or no bolna, huh? Whether it is taxable or exempt. Let's do it here itself. Okay. Mr. G gets the following from his employer. Medical premium paid for ensuring health of Mr. G. Medical premium paid for ensuring health of Mr. G. G तो employee है, employee का medical premium और मतलब premium is paid by the employer only directly, not a case of reimbursement, and he is paying directly for employee. Is that okay? Is that okay that he is paying directly for employee? He will die rather going outside. Yes, ma'am. Yes, for what? Is that okay? Matlab, is it exempt? Is it taxable? Somebody saying exempt. Yes, it is exempt. Okay. Medical premium paid for ensuring health of employee is exempt. So it's basically, if I have to over here calculate the taxable perquisite, then this is 0. Treatment of Mr. G by family doctor. That means family doctor ka treatment means it is not in company owned hospital, it is not in government hospital, it doesn't look like a prescribed disease, it doesn't look like a COVID-19 illness. Then is it taxable or exempt? Please, the list that we did was an exceptional case. It was a proviso. It was an exceptional case of exemption. The general rule is taxable. Okay, general rule is taxable. If what you are reading here is not in the list that you saw, then it is taxable. Yes, okay. Treatment of Mrs. G, matlab employee spouse. Employee spouse is covered in family, so it's okay. Government hospital, okay. Government hospital is also covered. Is it exempt? Mrs. G in a government hospital, is it exempt by way of proviso to section 17(2)? Okay. Mr. G's grandfather. Family is equal to spouse plus children plus dependent parents or siblings. Grandparents though are not covered. Grandparents are not covered. So this is taxable. This is taxable. Treatment of Mrs. G's mother, 68 years and dependent by family doctor. Mother of employee who is dependent. Dependent parent is covered in family. Okay. So dependent parent is covered but by family doctor. Family doctor means government hospital भी नहीं है और companies owned hospital भी नहीं है. COVID-19 भी नहीं लग रहा और specified disease भी नहीं लग रहा. Is it exempt? Is it excluded under the proviso? No, it is taxable. Mr. G's sister dependent. Family covers spouse, children, and dependent parents and siblings. So she is covered in a nursing home. But have they mentioned that the nursing home is maintained by the employer? Have they mentioned that the nursing home is maintained by the employer or is it a government nursing home? No. Then it is taxable. Mr. G's brother independent. Independent sibling is not family. So it is taxable. Okay. Okay. Mr. G's father, 75 years and dependent abroad. Oh. So first, whether he is family. Yes, dependent father is family. Treatment abroad. Treatment abroad. What is then? We need to see the limit specified by RBI. Limit allowed is 75,000, for example. And what you are giving is 50,000. And what he has incurred, this is for treatment, plus stay expenses of the patient and treatment expenses of the patient, both together is 80,000. Limit allowed by RBI is 75,000. So how much will be taxable? If RBI has allowed 75,000 and you have actually incurred 80,000, then how much is taxable? 5,000. 80,000 minus 75,000, that is 5,000. So if somebody can total up all these items and tell me what is the total taxable value of perquisite. 15 कैसे हुआ? 15 कैसे हुआ ना? 80 minus 75 is 5. What is the total value of taxable perquisite in this case? $39,000 is the right answer. Okay, 39,000 is the taxable value. Sorry, I'll just have to reshare. Okay. Let's do motor car. Okay, we have some more time in today's class, so we have a little more time also. So let's do motor car. Motor car value, motor car, something strikes a bell. मोटर कार तो भाई वो कैटेगरी है where we did set me. मोटर कार कौन सी कैटेगरी है? परक्विजिट कैटेगरी ए, बी या सी? सर्वेंट, एजुकेशन, टिकट, मोटर कार, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी. सी कैटेगरी. सी कैटेगरी होने से क्या होता है? इट इज टैक्सेबल ओनली फॉर स्पेसिफाइड एम्प्लॉय, है ना? सो ये जो सेट मी है ना, इसको देखते ही आपको it should ring a bell in your head that you need to see it through a different lens. It is going to be taxable only for specified employee, and if the employee is specified, only then you calculate the value of this perquisite, otherwise it is not required. Okay, all right, chalo. How do you calculate the value? If the car is owned by employer or hired by the employer, running expenses, so fuel, parking, met by the employer, and it is given for official use wholly. So employer has given a car to the employee where the car is owned or hired by the employer, the running expenses are met by the employer, and the car is used for wholly official use. Then what value should be perquisite? Then what value should be perquisite? No value. If the car is used for wholly official use, then what benefit has accrued to the employee? No personal benefit. So no perquisite. Okay. Perquisite happens only if the car is at least used partly for personal use. Okay, at least partly for personal use. Then in that case, if the car is owned hired by employer and expenses met by employer, then we need to value the perquisite in this way. We need to see the cubic capacity of the engine. CC mane cubic capacity. Cubic capacity. It will be given in the exam. आपको हर गाड़ी का मॉडल का cubic capacity याद करके नहीं जाना है. Okay. It is going to be given in the exam that the cubic capacity of the engine of the car given by the employer to the employee is within 1.6 liters or it is above 1.6 liters. Okay, it's a highly strong powered car or light powered car. So they will define this whether it is up to 1.6 liters or beyond that. If it is up to 1.6 liters, then the perquisite value is 1800 per month. And if it is above 1.6 liters, then the cost would be higher on maintaining that car. So the perquisite value is 2400 per month. And if driver or chauffeur is also provided, then whatever value you have determined, please add 900 per month to that value. Okay, please add 900 per month to that value. So if the car is owned or hired by employer and its running expenses are also met by the employer and it is at least used for partly purpose personal use, then you see the cubic capacity of the engine. If it is up to 1.6 liters, then the perquisite value is 1800 per month. If it is above 1.6 liters, perquisite value is 2400 per month. And if driver or chauffeur is also provided, then you add 900 per month to the above result. Okay. In a second category, if the car is owned by employee and expense is met by employer, car is owned by employee, expense is met by employer, then at least the depreciation bit to employee is handling himself. Employer is not making good, right? What is employer doing? Employer is meeting the running and maintenance expenses. So then the expenditure incurred by the employer is actually the perquisite one. Simple. If car is employee's own car and employer is only reimbursing the running and maintaining expenses, then that value, whatever expenses he has incurred, that is the value of perquisite. What else? Okay, that is very simple. Okay. But if the car is owned by employer and expenses are met by employee, then at least the running maintenance expense is taken care by the employee himself. It should not form part of taxable perquisite because employer is not giving that. The only thing employer is giving is allowing to use the car. So maybe depreciation equivalent can be the perquisite value in the hands of the employee. Okay. So what is it? Up to 1.6 cubic liters, cubic capacity liters, perquisite value should be 600 per month, and beyond that it should be 900 per month. And if driver is also provided, then it doesn't matter who pays the running expenses. If driver is also provided, then the value is 900 per month. You have to add. Okay. And why no value if you use for official use only? Because if I use motor car, company provided motor car for wholly official use, then what is the personal benefit to the employee? Why should it even be a perquisite? It is just like company has given me a laptop to use in office. I'm using it for official use. I can't do anything else on it. So how is it even a benefit? They are giving you for something use if the purpose is official, completely official, then it cannot lead to personal benefit, at least from perquisite perspective. For something to be taxable as perquisite, there has to be at least some amount of personal benefit to the employee involved. Okay, right? So how will you remember? Remember like this: if the employee owns the car, if the employee owns the motor car, then the only thing employer can do is maybe make good the running maintaining expenses. So the taxable value should be the amount of expenses he has reimbursed. Okay. But if the employer maintains the car, then owns or hires, whatever, if the employer has the car, then you need to see who is meeting the running and maintaining expenses. If he is only meeting running maintaining expenses, then we hit the bad. Then he is giving a lot of benefit to the employee. So the perquisite value will be higher at 1800 per month or 2400 per month, depending on cubic capacity of the car, enhanced by 900 per month for driver. And if the car is owned, hired by employer and expenses are met by employee himself, then the perquisite value should be lower. It should only be for the use of car. And that is 600 per month or 900 per month, depending on the cubic capacity of the car, plus 900 per month for driver. Okay. All right. It is taxable only in case of specified employees because this is perquisite category C. If running expenses are reimbursed for employees' own car used wholly personally, then it is taxable in all employees. Achha. This please note, take a note of this. So if car is provided, because when motor car is provided, then this is a case of category C. That means car is provided for wholly personal use. Then you need to see category C, because you remember category C when we were doing, the first condition to C was facility. The facility should be provided. In fact, we did an example also of provision of domestic servant and reimbursement of domestic servant salary. We did that reimbursement of domestic servant salary is actually a cash obligation met by the employer, of the employee met by the employer. That was not category C, that was category A. It was taxable for all employees. But if the company provided the domestic servant itself and the company paid the salary of the domestic servant, then it was a case of facility. And only then was it a case of category C, taxable in the hands of specified employees, right? So what applies for personal attendant also applies for car. If you only meet good the running expenses, then you are meeting a cash obligation of the employee, and it is taxable for all employees because this is category A perquisite. But if you are giving the car, then you are giving a facility, then it is taxable only for specified employees because this is category C perquisite. Are we all on the same page? Why it is important to identify whether it is a category C perquisite or a category A perquisite, whether it is a cash obligation or it is a facility given. Are we all on the same page? One summarize in Hindi motor car perquisite. So let me finish the other 2 points, then I'll summarize in Hindi. Okay. If running etc. expenses are reimbursed for employer's car used wholly personally. So suppose the car is of employer and it is used for personal, wholly personal, huh? Because this we were seeing, this table that we were seeing was partly personal. And this wholly official is not taxable. Partly personal, this was the rule. But what if wholly personal? If wholly personal is the case and running expenses are reimbursed for employer's car, running expenses are reimbursed by the employer for employer's own car. It's a case of employer-employer. It's a case of employer-employer. Then the taxable value is actual expenditure plus depreciation at 10% of actual cost, less amount recovered from employee. Because wherever running, in case of partly personal, they've had to give a formula to calculate because they don't know how much personal and how much official. But in case of wholly personal, they will be easily able to find out the value of benefit in the hands of the employee by actually finding out the value of the car facility in itself. So they are saying that if I allow you to use the car, then it's actually depreciation which I should recover from you. Let that be 10% of actual cost. Okay. And if I am also giving you running expenses, then it should be the cost of the running expenses that I'm giving you. These two are your benefits, and if I've recovered anything back from you, then I reduce it. That is applicable in all cases. For all perquisites, if you recover anything back from the employee, you reduce it. Okay. But where more than one motor car is provided for at least partly personal use, where more than one motor car is provided. So partly personal use we were doing, where at least one motor car is provided, we were doing like this. Where more than one motor car is provided, then what do? You find out the value of one car as if it is partly official and partly personal. That means by this table. And then you find out the value of the other car as if it is wholly personal. That means under this column. Let me remove all the markings and tell you again. Let me remove all the markings and tell you again. This time I will tell you in Hindi. Okay, because I've already given all the details in English. This time I will try to summarize in Hindi. Okay. देखो, मोटर कार फैसिलिटी में कुछ चीजें रेलेवेंट है. एक, गाड़ी किसकी है. एक, गाड़ी के खर्चे कौन देता है, रनिंग, मेंटेनेंस, पेट्रोल, पार्किंग, वो सब. यूज क्या है, होली ऑफिशियल, पार्टली पर्सनल, पार्टली ऑफिशियल या होली पर्सनल. ठीक है, ये सारे फैक्टर्स देखने हैं. अगर होली ऑफिशियल है तो वहीं पे उसको बाहर कर दो, वो परक्विजिट हो ही नहीं सकता क्योंकि कोई पर्सनल बेनिफिट है ही नहीं. तो बेसिकली बचता है हमारे पास पार्टली यू पर्सनल और होली पर्सनल. इन दोनों को ही हम लोग को देखना है. अगर एम्प्लॉय की खुद की गाड़ी है, तो मैक्सिमम एम्प्लॉयर क्या कर सकता है, उसको खर्चा दे सकता है रनिंग मेंटेनेंस का. रनिंग मेंटेनेंस का खर्चा अगर देता है तो फिर खर्चा ही वैल्यू ऑफ परक्विजिट हुआ. ओके, राइट, खर्चा ही वैल्यू ऑफ परक्विजिट हुआ. पर अगर वही खर्चा होली पर्सनल कैटेगरी में दे रहा है तो वो सब एम्प्लॉइज के लिए टैक्सेबल है, सिर्फ स्पेसिफाइड एम्प्लॉइज के लिए नहीं, वो सब एम्प्लॉइज के लिए टैक्सेबल है. क्योंकि खर्चा दे रहा है, ऑब्लिगेशन मीट कर रहा है, ठीक है। अगर एम्प्लॉयर की गाड़ी है, एम्प्लॉयर ने ही खर्चे दिए, तो गाड़ी तो पहले दिया ना, तो स्पेसिफाइड एम्प्लॉयज के लिए है। अब अगर पार्टली पर्सनल के लिए देता है तो 1800 और 24 पर मंथ, 2400 पर मंथ डिपेंडिंग ऑन क्यूबिक कैपेसिटी ऑफ द इंजन, और अगर ड्राइवर भी देता है तो 900 पर मंथ एडेड। और अगर होली पर्सनल के लिए देता है तो फिर वैल्यू कैसे निकालेंगे? अगर होली पर्सनल के लिए देता है तो इसी तरह से वैल्यू निकालेंगे। अगर एम्प्लॉयर की गाड़ी है, ओके, अगर एम्प्लॉयर की गाड़ी है और एम्प्लॉयर ही सारे खर्चे प्रोवाइड करता है, तो टैक्सेबल वैल्यू इन केस ऑफ होली पर्सनल विल बी द running maintenance expenditure actually incurred by employer and depreciation allowed to the employee. That means 10% of cost of the car. 10% of cost is what you are allowing अगर आप wholly personal use के लिए employer की गाड़ी दे रहे हैं while also meeting the running expenses. Okay? और अगर एम्प्लॉयर की गाड़ी है, एम्प्लॉई अगर अपने आने जाने का खर्चा रनिंग एक्सपेंस मीट करता है, तो फिर वैल्यू ऑफ परक्विजिट कम हो जानी चाहिए। इन केस ऑफ पार्टली पर्सनल, वैल्यू ऑफ परक्विजिट विल बी 600 पर मंथ और 900 पर मंथ डिपेंडिंग ऑन क्यूबिक कैपेसिटी, प्लस 900 पर मंथ फॉर ड्राइवर इफ एनी। अगर एक से ज्यादा गाड़ी है जो पार्टली पर्सनल के लिए यूज हो रही है, तो वी विल अज्यूम दैट एक गाड़ी पार्टली पर्सनल और पार्टली ऑफिशियल है और इस टेबल के हिसाब से वैल्यू निकलेगी, और एक गाड़ी होली पर्सनल है और इस टेबल के हिसाब से वैल्यू निकलेगी। ओके, मैम इतना याद करना है क्या? हाँ, ये तो याद करना ही पड़ेगा। ओके, सम करेंगे ना तो थोड़ा क्लियर होगा। अभी बहुत सारा टेक्स्ट लग रहा है, सम करेंगे तो थोड़ा क्लियर होगा। We have the time to do one sum. Let's do it. देखो, इसमें बहुत कुछ है, मोटर कार के अलावा भी बहुत कुछ है। सो थोड़ा सा ना रिफ्रेश भी हो जाएगा पहले क्या क्या था वो। चलो रीड। Chauffeur driver value in every case to increase by 900 per month. Yes. Employer's car is provided, ma'am, along with expenses wholly personal. Then also taxable for specified employees only. Yes. Yes. See, if motor car facility is provided and not just the running expenses reimbursement, then it is taxable only for specified employees, whether it is wholly personal or partly personal. Just that if it is partly personal, then the value of calculating it is, this 1824 per month, as the case may be. And if it is wholly personal, then it is 10% of cost plus running maintenance expenditure actually incurred. That way. Okay. And in case of the first one, partly personal, if the driver is also there, then you increase by 900 per month. All right. I hope the others are reading the question. Motor car and terminal benefits. So Mr. X retired from the services on 31st January after completing 30 years and 1 month. थोड़ा एक फ्रैक्शन है, इस फ्रैक्शन का क्या करना है देखते हैं ना। He has joined the company on 1st January 1995 at the age of 30 years and received the following on his retirement. What was his age when he joined the company? I don't think it is relevant. It is just that how many years he has completed and now he is retiring. Only that is relevant. Okay. He received gratuity 6 lakhs. He was covered under POGA. If he was covered under POGA, and obviously Mrs. Y Limited doesn't look like a government employee, and नीचे देखें he is shifting out of default regime. वैसे भी both regimes में gratuity तो same treatment ही है. And if he was covered under POGA, then basic plus DA should be the definition that we need to use, and we will calculate the amount of exempt gratuity. We'll do that separately by way of a note. If you feel there are so many adjustments that each adjustment requires a separate calculation, then you do the calculations in notes and you only take the final value up in the main table. Because if you do some error somewhere, you will have to revise the entire table again, which doesn't make sense. Okay, you whatever you want to do, you do in the notes and just take the value from there and put it in the table again. Okay. Leave encashment, he has received for 330 days leave balance. He was credited 30 days leave for every completed year of service, and so much was left. Fine, we'll see how to do this. And then he was offered a car which was purchased on 30th January by the company. So it's a company owned car. Okay, and company has recovered something from him, so that will be reduced from the perquisite value. And company depreciates the vehicle at this method. I don't know if it matters because we have always seen 10% original cost. We have seen 10% original cost. So let's see. Then he has got some pension, of which 2/3 he has commuted. So actually 3 lakhs is the commuted amount. If 3 lakhs represents 2/3, okay, then what is the total pension? If 3 lakhs represents 2/3, then what is the total pension? If 3 lakhs represents 2/3, then what is the total pension? 4,50,000. ठीक है, करेंगे, इसको भी देखेंगे. कंपनी gave him a gift voucher worth 6,000. गिफ्ट में हमने बोला था कि 5,000 तक एग्जेम्प्ट होता है. 5,000 के ऊपर there are two views. One is कि इसको पूरा taxable करें, and one is कि खाली excess taxable करें. So we are going to take a view that we will consider the full thing as taxable. 6,000. Then his colleagues gifted him a television. अब हम लोग इस जाल में नहीं फंसते. We are not no further scared by all this. We know that if his colleagues give anything to him, then it is not employer-employee relationship, and we are not going to evaluate this under the head salary. So, but here you have been asked to give GTI, not just gross income from salary. So you'll have to give a treatment to this. Okay, if it is taxable under other head, you may have to do that also, because you have been asked to compute GTI and not just income from salary. Okay, some other information. There is a basic salary, there is a DA of which 50% forms part. There is a pension total received this much after commutation of pension. That means this is the uncommuted pension. Okay, let's see. All right. Chalo, this is the whole, these are the details given. Let's try to calculate one by one. Let's try to calculate one by one. Let's start solving. Firstly, let's put the basic. This we are doing the main table, and every component we will do in the notes. Let's do the basic. Basic, you have been given in the sum that he is earning 20,000 per month. How many months will you take? Because he retired on 31st January. So how many months did he actually get? He got April to January. That means he got for 10 months. Are we all okay? He retired on 31st January. So he got basic only for 10 months. Then DA. DA, we have been told in the calculation, we need to first consider total DA. Then for any purpose, if we need only DA forming part, we will do it in the notes. Okay. So DA, they have given in the sum that 50% of basic salary is DA. 50% of basic salary, which is 2 lakhs, if it is DA, then how much is DA? 11 months. Why 11 months? 1st April to 31st January is 10 months or 11 months? Then let's do gift voucher. Gift voucher, you give a note that only up to 5,000 is exempt. So the entire value of 6,000 is being considered taxable. Okay. Then there is something called for car, motor car facility. There is something for, but here now it's a different case. Actually, this sum I shouldn't have given here. This is not a case of use of motor car. This is a case of transfer of motor car. You have not studied that yet. Let's hold this sum. Let's do one more concept. Then we'll come back to this. Okay. I'm sorry. This is not a case of use of motor car. Right now, you do not know enough to do this sum. Okay. Let us do one more concept. We will come back to this question. Okay. Chalo. All right. Let's do this. Illustration 11 is pending. I have noted. We will do that. Let's do this. Interest free or concessional loan. This is very simple, very quick, short concept. If employer gives any loan at without interest or at less interest to the employee, then that is also a benefit to the employee. Okay, he can give to employee, he can give to any member of his household also. And whatever interest he recovers from the employee, obviously that should be reduced from the value of perquisite. But other than that, the balance should be taxable. Now, in certain cases, this is exempted. That means if the loan is given for medical treatment for specified ailments, or if the loan value does not exceed 20,000, if the loan value does not exceed 20,000, or if the loan is given for medical treatment, then this loan is not taxable. Okay, and at what rate? At what rate should the interest be actually calculated? Because if suppose they are giving you interest free, then how will you calculate the value of the perquisite? Then you will take the SBI interest rate, whatever SBI charges on the first day of the relevant previous year. Okay, so whatever SBI charges on the first day of the relevant previous year means 1st April 25. On the first day of the relevant previous year, 24 for you people, financial year 24-25. 1st April 24 pay, what rate does SBI charge? That rate you will take. Suppose that is X percentage. Okay. That you will apply on the maximum outstanding monthly balance. So you will calculate monthly balance. April, May, June, for whatever period the loan was being used. You will calculate the balance at the end of the month. Okay. Then you will calculate the maximum outstanding monthly balance. Because what happens is, if suppose they say ki take the balance as on the last day, what will the employee do? He will completely repay the loan on the last day. He will repay the loan on 31st and take the loan again on 1st April. So that the balance is zero, and then you calculate this value on zero base, and you are ultimately arrived at no purpose. So lawmakers are also very smart. They say that this kind of adjustment won't work with us. We will take the maximum monthly outstanding balance. That means maximum you must have at any time enjoyed. We will take that. And on that, you need to calculate the SBI rate of interest. Okay. And for the number of months for which you were actually using the loan. And that is how you will calculate the value of interest on this interest-free loan. Assuming this has not been given for any medical treatment for specified ailment, or where the loan value is more than 20,000. Because if it is for medical treatment, or if the loan value is less than 20,000, then there is no taxable perquisite. Only if it is not for specified medical treatment, and if the loan value is more than 20,000, then this perquisite is taxable. It has to be reduced by the amount you have recovered from the employee, and it will be calculated at the SBI interest rate on 1st April 24 for the period for which the loan is taken on the maximum outstanding monthly balance. Okay. All right. This is simple to remember. How do we calculate maximum outstanding balance? You will get all that. You will get all that. But when you see in the sum, you'll understand. It's not a very technical treatment that you will not understand. This concept I wanted to teach you before we do illustration 11. Because I taught you use of motor car, I did not teach you transfer of motor car. Okay, I did not teach you this, and so that sum we could not have done. Let me teach you this whole thing, then we will be able to do that. Okay. Now see, use of motor car we have already done. Let us see if the employer gives some other asset for use to the employee. If he gives you laptop, computer, if the asset is given, which is laptop and computer, then there is no benefit. लैपटॉप कंप्यूटर देने से कोई बेनिफिट नहीं है. कैसे याद रखेंगे मैम? लैपटॉप कंप्यूटर जब एम्प्लॉयर देता है ना, तो वो आपसे कैसे भी काम करा ही लेगा एंड इंश्योर करेगा कि आपको कोई पर्सनल बेनिफिट हो ही नहीं. ठीक है, इसलिए लैपटॉप कंप्यूटर देने को वो लोग खुद ही पर्सनल बेनिफिट नहीं मानते, वो टैक्सेबल परक्विजिट नहीं करते हैं उसको. ठीक है, अदर देन लैपटॉप कंप्यूटर अगर कोई भी एसेट दिया जा रहा है, टेलीविजन, ये वो जो भी है, तो वो रेंट फ्री अकोमोडेशन के साथ जब दिया जा रहा था, तो उसका एक तरीका था कैलकुलेट करने का, 10% ऑफ कॉस्ट और रेंटल वैल्यू रेंट पेड, व्हिचएवर एज द केस में बी. अगर ऐसे ही दिया जा रहा है आपको, मतलब रेंट फ्री अकोमोडेशन के बिना, तो आपको इधर से कैलकुलेट करना है. यू नीड टू कैलकुलेट इट लाइक दिस. It has to be 10% per annum of cost. The method is same. Or rent paid in case the asset is not owned by the employer. He has also taken on rent. Then whatever he pays is what you will have to charge as per visit. Okay. Less the amount recovered from employee. So this is very similar to TV provided along with house. Okay. The treatment is same. TV provided along with house or TV provided without house. Treatment is 10% of actual cost or rent paid, as the case may be, less amount recovered from employee. ओके, ऑलराइट. सो ये तो समझ में आ गया. लैपटॉप में कुछ नहीं चार्ज करेंगे. मोटर कार में जैसे वी हैव गिवन यूज ऑफ मोटर कार का जो लास्ट स्लाइड दैट वी डिड, उस तरह से चार्ज करेंगे. और अदर देन लैपटॉप्स एंड कंप्यूटर्स और भी कोई अगर अदर एसेट्स है, तो 10% ऑफ कॉस्ट और एक्चुअल रेंट एज द केस में भी, लेस अमाउंट रिकवर्ड फ्रॉम एम्प्लॉय. दैट्स हाउ यू गोइंग टू चार्ज इट. ओके. Now what, suppose employer was allowing the employee to use an asset for a certain period, and then he said that now you take it, I'm transferring it to you. Okay, so transfer of movable asset mein kya hoga? So remember ki it's a depreciated asset which is being transferred. It is not a new asset which is being bought and given. It's a depreciated asset which is being transferred because the employer had it for some time. He may have also allowed you to use it for some time and while it was still under his ownership, and maybe after that he has transferred the ownership to you. So the asset has already been in use for some time. It may be a depreciated asset that is being given to you. Okay, so how do you calculate the value? If it is a depreciated asset which has been given to you, then obviously you should factor the depreciation when you are calculating the value. So the prescribed method of calculating the perquisite on transfer of movable asset is like this. If it is a case of computers and electronic items, then the perquisite is equal to 50% on WDV for each completed year of usage. Okay, 50% on WDV for each completed year of usage. If it is motor car, then 20% on WDV for each completed year of service. And if it is anything else, then 10% of actual cost. 10% of actual cost for each completed year of usage. So खाली any other asset SLM basis पे है, क्योंकि वो 10% cost पे है. बाकी दोनों, which means computers, electronic items and motor cars, they are on WDV basis. Okay, on WDV basis you need to calculate depreciation or perquisite value. So for computers and electronic items, it is 50% of WDV on every completed year of service. For motor cars, it is 20% of WDV for every completed year of service. And for any other asset, it is 10% of actual cost on SLM basis for every completed year of service. For every completed year. Okay. Achha. So, matlab, if we go back to illustration 11 and if we do the sum, then maybe the 20% on WDV will be what relevant for us. Yes? Okay. Again, this thing you will be able to remember or understand better when you do a sum. You have to obviously remember the concept that use of laptop is not taxable. Use of any other movable asset is 10% of cost or rent. And transfer of computer is 50% WDV. Transfer of motor car is 20% of WDV, and anything else is 10% of original cost. These things you will need to remember. But how do you apply it in the sum? When we do the sum, you will be able to understand. Okay. So now let's go back to illustration 11. I should have placed illustration 11 after this. Okay. Now let's go back to illustration 11. So we were already somewhere. We had calculated basic and we had calculated DNS allowance, right? And we had calculated gift voucher. Those things we had already calculated. And then we were going to go to motor car. So let's just go back. We will only do the sum and then we'll close the class for today. Okay, let's do the sum and then close the class. So basic we had calculated at 2 lakh. DA we had calculated at 1 lakh, 50% of basic. Gift voucher, we had said that it is completely taxable because it is more than 5,000. And we did transfer of car. That's where we stopped. Transfer of car, please put note. We will calculate the value. We know we have learned that 20% of WDV for every completed year of service is how you need to calculate the perquisite values. But how you practically do it in the sums, we will solve now. So let's first go and do this. Then we'll come back and plot the value here. Similarly, for gratuity, we will go and calculate. If this is note 1, we will calculate that in note 2. And we will come and put the value here. For leave encashment, we will do the same thing. We will calculate and come back. For pension, we will do the same thing. Commuted pension, uncommuted pension, we will calculate and come back. Okay. Uncommuted pension, you can put right away, 5,000 per month into 2 months because he got for February and March. So that you can calculate right away and put over here. Uncommuted is anyway fully taxable. So that you can put. The others you will calculate and come back. Okay. Then we will get the gross salary. So leave encashment is note 3. And the pension, commuted pension is note 4. Let's calculate note 1, car, note 2, gratuity, note 3, leave encashment, note 4, commuted pension, and then come back to this. Then just plot the values, we'll get the gross salary. Okay. Chalo. Let's do note 1, car. Abhi car mein samjho, they have told us that the perquisite value is actual cost to the employer as reduced by 20% of WDV for every completed year of service during which the during which the car was put to use by the employee. Okay. So pehle to let us find out the actual cost to the employer. Question में लिखा है कि employer ने वो गाड़ी खरीदी थी on 30th January 22. 30th January 22 for 5 lakhs. Okay. We are standing on what date? We are standing on 29th January 2025 because we need to give the car now. Are we all on the same page? Ma'am, it is not written in the question DA forming part. नहीं लिखा है तो not forming part. Okay. Okay. All right. वो ग्रेजुएटी करेंगे तब देखेंगे ना, पर ग्रेजुएटी तो पेमेंट ऑफ ग्रेजुएटी एक्ट में कवर्ड है, उसमें रेलेवेंट ही नहीं होगा. पेंशन में ऐसे ही रेलेवेंट नहीं होगा, लीव एनकैशमेंट में हो सकता है, तब देखेंगे. ठीक है. ओके. तो कार का कॉस्ट ये है, ये था 30th January 2022 का वैल्यू. वी नीड टू डिराइव द वैल्यू अप टू 29th January 2025 because that is when you gave the car to the employee. So मतलब ट्रांसफर द कार, तो यहाँ तक का एक निकालना है. तो पहले तो यू हैव, और कंपनी किस रेट पे एक्चुअली डेप्रिशिएट कर रही है डज नॉट मैटर टू अस बिकॉज वी हैव बीन गिवन अ स्पेसिफिक वे ऑफ कैलकुलेटिंग दिस, राइट? So we need to do depreciation on WDV method at 20% because this is case of motor car. If it was electronics, we would have done 50%. Okay. So computers में 50%. So 20% we need to depreciate. तो चलो पहले तो इसको depreciate अगर हम 1 साल के लिए करेंगे तो वैल्यू कहाँ आएगी? We will arrive at WDV on 29th January 2023. Are we correct? Huh? If we give 1 year's depreciation on WDV basis at 20%, then we will derive the WDV of 4 lakhs on 29th January 2023. यस, सिंपल डेप्रिसिएशन कर रहे हैं अभी तो हम लोग। फिर से हम 20% डेप्रिसिएशन देंगे WDV मेथड पे, तो कितना लेस होगा, 80,000। फिर हम लोग आएंगे WDV ऑन 29 जनवरी 2024। आर वी ओके? आर वी ओके? ओके, ठीक है। फिर हम आ गए, तो ये हमारा कितना वैल्यू आया, 3,20,000। 3,20,000। सो 29 जनवरी 2024 को हमारा वैल्यू था 3,20,000। फिर से हमने डेप्रिसिएशन दिया एट 20% ऑन WDV। We derived this value is on 29th January 2025. यही हमको चाहिए था. We wanted to come here. We have got this value. This is the perquisite value. बोलना क्या चाहते हैं मैम, क्या कर रहे हैं हम लोग? ये बोलना चाहते हैं कि अगर if a used car is being transferred by the employer to the employee, then the perquisite in the hands of the employee cannot be the cost of the car, because the employer has already used it for certain years. The depreciated value of the car can be perquisite value. The depreciated value of the car can be the perquisite value. And what should be the basis and rate of depreciation that the law has specified? In case of motor car, the basis should be WDV and the rate should be 20%. So from the date the company acquired the car till the date the company is transferring to the employee, you need to apply 20% per annum depreciation on per annum, day basis पे you need to apply, okay, on WDV method, and then derive the value, depreciated value, as on the date of transfer. This is the perquisite value in the hands of the employee. Okay. And if you have recovered anything back from the employee, like in this case, you got 2 lakhs back from the employee, then you will reduce it. In any case, in all cases, you will reduce anything you got back. And 56,000 becomes the value of note number 1, which is value of transfer of motor car. Okay. Value of perquisite value of transfer of motor car is actually the depreciated value on the date of transfer, depreciated at 20% per annum on WDV basis. Okay, and then you reduce the amount recovered from the employee. So the perquisite value is actually 56,000 under note 1. Okay. Hope everybody understood the use of motor car, the transfer of motor car perquisite value. So that now we can move to gratuity. This is cakewalk. You people are expert in gratuity now. Gratuity for employee covered under Payment of Gratuity Act. Okay, and he is not a government employee, he's a regular private employee. Okay, so for an employee covered under Payment of Gratuity Act under both regimes, there is a specific exemption given. Who will tell me what is the limit? Firstly, so you put what is the amount of gratuity received. 6 lakhs is the amount received. Abhi we will calculate exemption which is available under both regimes. First limit should be the amount received itself. So that is 6 lakhs. Second limit should be the statutory limit. That is for gratuity 20 lakhs, for leave encashment 25 lakhs. Third is the prescribed limit, which is because he's covered under the Payment of Gratuity Act. So number of days in a month is 26. So 15 by 26, that means half month salary into average salary of last month. Basic means salary for the purpose of Payment of Gratuity Act means basic plus DA. Basic was 20,000. DA was 10,000 per month. That is the average monthly salary into number of completed years of service. What if you have some fraction? Then if the fraction is less than, more than 6 months, then you round off. But in this case, it is 30 years, 1 month. So you don't round off. You multiply by the number of years of service, which is 30. Okay. What is the value you all are getting? What is the taxable gratuity you are getting? ये तो exemption बता रहे हो. 519230 is the amount of exemption. What is the taxable gratuity? Note 2 में क्या लेके जाएंगे हम? Note 2 में हम क्या लेके जाएंगे main sum में? Exemption लेके जाएंगे कि taxable value लेके जाएंगे? $80,769 is actually the taxable value, which will enter the computation as note 2. Okay. Next, we are doing, I'm not focusing on, repeating this so many times because y'all are experts in terminal benefits now. I don't have to repeat so many times. Let's calculate the value of leave encashment, note number 3. Leave encashment amount actually received is how much in your sum? Leave salary amount already received, actually received is 3,30,000 in your sum. Less exemption available under both regimes. सबसे पहले lower of the following. Notified limit, as we told, it is actually 25 lakhs in this case. Now, when nothing is mentioned, we assume that the person is taking for the first time. So there is the complete limit of 25 or 20, whatever it is unused, unexhausted. Then what is the leave salary actually received? That will be another component, which is 3,30,000 in this case. Then there are two more components to determine the leave encashment exemption, which is 10 months salary. 10 months salary. 10 months ka salary, matlab average monthly salary will be what for the purpose of leave encashment? For the purpose of leave encashment, salary is equal to basic plus DA forming part plus commission based on fixed percentage of turnover. इसका तो कोई इन्फॉर्मेशन ही नहीं है. डीए फॉर्मिंग पार्ट है कि नहीं, कुछ नहीं बोला तो अज्यूम करो डीए डज नॉट फॉर्म पार्ट. If nothing is mentioned, then you assume DA does not form part. So basic is 20,000 only. Okay. So this amount will become 2 lakhs, which will come over here. And the fourth part is the leave credit entitlement. Leave credit. So we have seen in the sum that how many leaves accrued to him. In the sum, how many leaves accrued to him? Question देखो एक बार. 3,30,000 days तो लीव बैलेंस ही दिया है. अरे 330 तो is the leave entitlement. They have already calculated and given. So now do you have to calculate the total leave available less the leave used, then the leave remaining? Do you need to calculate? If they have already calculated and given you that the leave balance or the leave credit entitlement is 330 days, then you don't have to calculate anything more. Yes. If they gave you total number of days leave allowed was 730, out of which he claimed 400, balance remains 330, then that's a separate thing. But if they have given you directly that the leave balance remains 330, then do you need to calculate anything else? You just use 330. Huh? You just use 330. Okay. So they have given you in the sum that leave credit remains is 330. तो फिर अगर लीव 330 रिमेनिंग है तो फिर आपको कैसे करना है? 330 तो नंबर ऑफ डेज में है ना, पहले इसको मंथ्स में कन्वर्ट कर लें, उसके बाद इसको मंथली सैलरी से हम लोग मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे. मंथली सैलरी का मीनिंग वही है, बेसिक प्लस डीए फॉर्मिंग पार्ट प्लस कमीशन. यहाँ पे वी आर अज्यूमिंग ओनली बेसिक बिकॉज नो अदर मेंशन. तो इसको करने से क्या आता है हमारा 2,20,000. लीस्ट ऑफ दीज क्या है? लीस्ट ऑफ दीज क्या है? टैक्सेबल लीव एनकैशमेंट क्या है? सो दिस इज द एग्जेम्पशन अंडर सेक्शन 1010 AA, GPLRB, 1010, 1010A, 1010AA, 1010B, 1010C. GPLRB में L आता है थर्ड, मतलब 1010AA. ओके. Okay, taxable leave encashment is 1,30,000. Have we all got it? Under both regimes, it's the same because terminal benefits taxability is same under both regimes. 1,30,000 is taxable. So take it as note 3, take it to the main computation. Okay, now let's do note number 4. Now we are trying to calculate the taxability of pension. taxability of pension. Uncommuted pension तो हमने पहले ही लिख दिया, 5,000 into 2 करके taxable कर लिया. We are trying to calculate taxability of commuted pension over here. He is a non-government employee, so exemption तो कोई है नहीं. So and he is receiving gratuity under POGA. तो इनको commuted pension का कितना exemption मिलने वाला है? 1/3, क्योंकि he is already receiving salary and he is already receiving gratuity, तो exemption कम है, into commuted amount divided by commuted percentage. तो कितना है commuted amount? कितना है commuted amount? 3 लाख है ना commuted amount, और commuted percentage तो 2/3 था, है ना? ये हमने निकाला था as 4,50,000. You remember? हमने निकाला था as 4,50,000. 3 lakh अगर commuted amount है, commuted at the rate of 2/3 or 66%, then what is the total? 4,50,000. तो 1/3 of 4,50,000 कितना होता है? 1.5 lakh. Commuted pension actually कितना मिला है? 3 lakhs. तो आपको लेस होके commuted pension GPLRB में 1010A में exemption मिलने के बाद कितना taxable होगा commuted pension? नोट 4 से क्या जाएगा? नोट 4 से क्या जाएगा? I hope even people who don't follow Hindi are being able to follow even little references of Hindi, because essentially we are talking about provisions, and you know, these are revision of provisions you've already done. So I think you are being able to relate to what is being spoken about. 1,50,000. Yes, this is going to enter as taxable amount of commuted pension under note 4. So now when we go back to our sum and we assemble everything, whatever we had done, and also these 4 notes, then you will be able to derive the gross salary. But does your question end over there? Has everybody got this gross salary? If you have added everything, has everybody got this gross salary? My note numbers were a little different because I didn't give a note to gift voucher. Okay, but that's okay. I mean, just stick to the note referencing you have given. Gross salary, how much have you all derived? Have you derived this after putting all the notes in place in the main computation? Very quick, we have to close this class today. Yes, yes. So everybody has got this. Now, please see which regime is this person under. Default regime or optional regime? Which regime he is under? It was not relevant when we were calculating these things because it was the same under all the regimes. These items are not falling under health dish. If they are not falling under health dish, they have same treatment under both regimes. That's why so far I didn't ask you. So far I didn't ask you which regime are you talking about. But now I'm asking you because now standard deduction, this D forms part of health dish. ये थोड़ा different है. This has a different treatment between optional and default regime. If this is optional regime, then you give a deduction of 50,000. If it was default regime, you would have given a deduction of 75,000. Okay. So you have now derived the net taxable salary. In this case, the same as GTI because you have no other information about any other income. Okay. Okay. Yes. So with this, we close today's deliberations. We have discussed a lot of concepts. You have in the, if you see the PPT that has been uploaded on the portal, you need to solve this question also as homework. Question number 12. I wanted to do it in the class, but we have not been able to. This you should be able to do as homework. Okay. And illustration 12. After that, sweat equity, you don't know, you leave that. After that, you should be able to do this sum as homework, homework number 4. You should be able to do homework number 5. You will not be able to do homework number 6, or you may be able to do most of the parts. Maybe only G you will not be able to do. So it's okay. You leave point number G and you do all the others. Okay. So your homework is illustration 12, homework number 4, 5, and 6, where you may not be able to do G, but other than G, you can do everything. So please attempt it. All right. You will do all this and come to the next class. You will do all this and come to the next class. Array, there is one more homework that you can do. Homework number 7. Oh, okay. There is one more homework you can do. All right. So please note down homework for next class, illustration 12, homework 4, 5, 6, except G, and 7. Please attempt as much as you can. Leave what you can't. We will definitely discuss all these sums in the next class. I hope you liked the class. We are 15 minutes at the top of the hour already. Okay. But I don't have a choice. I was just in the middle of a question, so I had to complete it. Yes. I hope you understood. People who follow Hindi, who don't follow Hindi, everybody has understood what we discussed in today's class. Whatever we did in today's class is very important because at least one adjustment in the whole sum will belong to this. Okay. We revised terminal benefits also to some extent, right? So we did a lot in today's class. It was a very wholesome class, right? So let's call off. Okay, let's close the class for the day. Tech team. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.